What's up, duelists? A lot of you guys tuned in yesterday to the really big charity tournament, RBCT. Yes, of course. But then a lot of you guys also probably recognized that I had some connectivity issues, some internet outages during top 8. And so what I decided to do was, instead of streaming with a terrible connection and just making everybody upset, was to end the stream, get the replays, and provide them to you with the top 8 deck lists here today. So thank you guys, everyone who played in the tournament. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. We raised collectively over $800 for charity, which is really, really sick. You guys are the best community on the face of the planet. You guys are incredibly giving. I will also be donating the rest of the stream revenue to charity as well. So you guys are great. You guys are great. I just want to say that there was a $10 minimum requirement for people to sign up to this, to donate to a charity of their choosing. And most of the people actually decided to donate even more than that. So that's really cool. Thank you guys so much. Actually, that's awesome. You guys are great. I can't thank you guys enough. All right. Let's get into the top 8. So one thing about the top 8 was Sunny did have to go, but Sunny did go undefeated in Swiss with this deck, which is worth noting. I think going 6-0 with the deck is a big deal. This is a hybrid Blackwing deck, main deck triple deck dev. No Icarus attacks anywhere in the entire deck. And he's got double oppression in the main, as well as Mirror Force as his only form of monster removal, not counting deck dev. But big monster removal, he's only got the Royal Oppressions, Mirror Force, technically Brain Control, I guess Dark Arm to some degree, which is really interesting. I think it's really interesting that he just says, my monsters are better than yours, and that's how he's going to play it. He says, I can deal with your monsters. With my monsters, I just need to deal with card advantage, or big sweeping card advantage, or those little monsters that can accrue a bunch of issues for Blackwings, like Shining Angel or Raikou or whatever else. Really, really unique deck list. I think it's really sick. The sideboard is also really interesting. He's got all of his monster removal in the sideboard. He's got Dark Illusion in the sideboard, which is a card that I know Dimitri's had a lot of success with. Mind Crush also in the sideboard. He did say in his tournament sort of report that he posted in the EdisonFormat.com Discord that Mind Crush was his 41st card, and he couldn't fit it in, so he decided to cite it, and he did say the MVPs throughout the tournament were My Body is a Shield and Legacy of Yatagarasu. So very unique, very interesting deck list. I personally hate facing off against Deck Devastation Virus because I do like to play little monster decks like Quick Draw and Fairies, but I can see why it had a lot of tournament success for him. So really cool stuff. Really solid deck list from Sunny, and his top 8 opponent was Ryanide, which is another really, really sick deck list. This is his Machina Frog deck list. I know Ryanide has been working on this a lot. He started off, I believe, 4-0 or 5-0 at RBET Orlando and just barely missed the top cut. So I know he's been putting a lot of work into this deck, and he's had a lot of success with it. The way the deck works is you have frogs and you have machines. Okay, that's a little bit of an oversimplification, but he's got some really cool text. He's got Morphtronic Scopin, which is a light machine. He can tutor off of Sphere of Chaos, he can also pitch to Machina Fortress, which turns on his Cyber Eltanin. Cyber Eltanin is a one-card sort of field nuke for a bunch of monsters. It pairs great with Battle Fader. It pairs great with basically just what the deck is trying to do, which is survive, sweep, put your opponent on very few cards, and then beat them to death very quickly with either Caius or Machina Fortress. So really cool main deck strategy here. I'm excited to watch his match in top 4. The sideboard looks very straightforward, lots of trap cards. A lot of Frog players have just been siding 4 to 5 defensive traps as a way to punish players for siding out Heavy Storm against the Frog deck. So this is kind of an interesting way that you're basically saying you have no cards you can side out against Frogs. So what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Really cool sort of transformation sideboard almost. He could even side out a large number of the Frog cards if he wanted to for those post-board games. Obviously, maybe you don't want to, but he could. And I guess that's it. All right, let's get into the first top 8 match. The first top 8 match is going to be versus Tia and Dank Armed Dragon. My bad. Dank Armed Dragon. Their deck lists are here. This is Tia, aka Moom's deck list. It is a Vayu Turbo deck list with Return and Chaos Sorcerer in the main. I think that's the big thing here. 2 Sirocco, notable. 25 monsters, a very high monster count. No Book of Moon, also very interesting. And no Starlight Road, only 1 Oppression is very interesting. Extra deck looks standard. The sideboard, I do like the choices in the sideboard. I think Triple Dust is very good in this meta. I think 1 Pulling the Rug is better than 2. I think that Pulling the Rug can break in multiples, especially if your opponent has sided out cards that get hurt by pulling the rug. It's not as big of a slam dunk against the meta decks as you'd think. And this year in general, we've actually seen, since the pulling the rug reprint specifically, we've seen a large decline in the amount of pulling the rug being played, which is really interesting. I think it makes sense, but it's just very interesting that we've seen a large decline since the card became widely available. Normally the opposite happens. Normally more people play the card when the card becomes widely available, but as a result of the meta shifting and stuff like that, we've seen less of it. So interesting sideboard. I do like the Soul Release, the DD Crow. I think Soul Release and Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer in general have seen a large uptick in play this year. In the past, I did not like Soul Release when the metagame was super wide open, but now that like the metagame is getting a little bit more defined, or people are getting a little bit more, not stuck in their ways, but a little bit more like, okay, yeah, this is the deck that I'm going to be playing because I believe in it, or I have a lot of practice with it, or whatever. As the metagame becomes a little bit more sluggish and slower moving, Soul Release has been one of the cards that is better against some of the decks like Lightsworn, Frogs, Amaryllis, I believe, are the big three that Soul Release is there for. All right, and then Dankarm Dragon's Decklist is a Blackwing deck, no Dark Grepher, only 2 Boras. He's playing the full 3 Icarus and full 3 Upstart Goblin, 2 main deck Dust Tornadoes, no brain control, no mind control. Very interesting. Siding the brain control, siding the Gores. Quite an interesting deck list. Siding the Torrential, siding the Road. I think 14 traps, no Book of Moon, no Road is pretty interesting. I think this is an interesting deck list. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think, who was it? Stevie won RBET, won an RBET without brain control in the entire deck, not in the main, but yeah. And then also no Cyber Dragons anywhere, so has that extra deck space for the Thought Ruler Archfiend, which does come up. You know, that card does come up a lot with this deck. So interesting stuff. Let's see how that match goes. All right, so we got Dankarm Dragon versus Tia. Dankarm Dragon on Blackwings, Tia on Vayu Turbo. This is one of the cooler matchups in the format. I think Vayu Turbo can play a slower game, but if they draw kind of back row light, let's just show both hands. Let's just show both hands, because obviously we're not trying to conceal any information anymore. I think Vayu Turbo has a slight edge, especially if the games go long, and because Dankarm Dragon is playing these Upstart Goblins, it's more likely that the game's going to go long. Yeah, pretty much. That's all I was going to say. Starts off the game with a couple of Upstart Goblins. Finds Darkarm Dragon. So this is a very good hand. This is a really, really good hand. There's a lot of different ways you could play this hand. I think the best way to play this hand probably involves... At this point, I'm not sure if Tia knows what Dankarm Dragon is playing and vice versa. I'm not sure if they really know what each other is playing. I think the best play here, because Dankarm Dragon doesn't play Greffers, because he doesn't play Greffers in his list, there's no real reason to hold the Vayus. So I think the best play here is to actually set the Vayu and set the Deep Prison. Maybe set the Solemn too, but I think set Vayu, set Deep Prison is the best bet. Yeah, that seems pretty good. You could also just set Vayu, set Solemn, and not set the Deep Prison yet. That might be good too, because if your opponent goes like Stratos, you might want to Solemn that with this hand. Yeah, I could see Solemning a Rhoda or a Stratos with this hand. But I think the best play is to set the Vayu. Let's see if that's what he does. He does. Wow, okay, that's a really good play. I think it's a really good play from Dankarm Dragon. A lot of people would be tempted here to summon the Bora. Why? Because it gets the Bora in under Bottomless. But if you think about summoning the Bora here, where does it get you? First off, it just gives your opponent unnecessary information about what's going on, basically. It gives your opponent... it just gives your opponent too much potential to gain an advantage against you. And I think the biggest downside to summoning Bora there is how bad it makes Black Whirlwind off the top. Sure, okay, if you top deck Black Whirlwind, you can summon your Kalut, you can search Blizzy. That's okay, but you still have to summon your Kalut there. Whereas now, if you have Black Whirlwind off the top, you summon Bora, you search. You can search another Kalut, you can search a Blizzy, you can even search Gale. I think it's a little bit better. I think it's just a little bit better to hold the Bora. Now, that being said, I do think I would have set the Solemn, and I'm not just saying that because I see what's in Tia's hand, but I do think I would have set the Solemn because if you do top deck that Whirlwind, you're going to want to be able to play into your opponent's back row, and the best way to play into your opponent's back row is to have that Solemn Judgment set. You can even set up something where you're like, okay, I'm going to, if you have Whirlwind, you have the Solemn set, you activate the Whirlwind, you summon the Bora, and you can even start to set up for that Dark Arm Dragon play with Solemn backup as well. I'm not necessarily certain you could do it right away without something too crazy. Yeah, I don't think you could do it right away because I don't think there's a great way to get value into the grave. Alternatively, if you had set the Solemn, you could go like Summon Kalut. You could go Bryonic Dark Arm. So like if you top deck Whirlwind, let's just say you top deck Whirlwind, right? And you have the Solemn set, you could go activate Whirlwind, normal summon Kalut, search Gale, special Gale, synchro into Bryonic pitch Bora, or Bryonic pitch whatever. Pitch Bora, and then you could special Dark Arm. You could have Bryonic Dark Arm with Solemn. So I think setting the Solemn turn 1 is definitely a better percentage play from Dank Arm Dragon, but I understand not wanting to set it into a potential like Space Typhoon or Heavy Storm or whatever. He does end up drawing another Kalut, which is pretty good for damage push, but not super great for everything else that's happening here. So I think you flip the value, and I might have summoned the Bora as well, but I think that this is... Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the nature of Hamster is it creates this turn 1 set dynamic, but I think people get too caught up in Edison format thinking that a lone set is a Raikou. Especially turn 1 into your own set, more often than not, it's not going to be a Raikou because they might be anticipating your Raikou. So they don't want to get their Raikou'd, if that makes sense. More often than not, this card right here is going to be some kind of Battle Recruiter, some kind of Dandelion, some kind of non-Raikou monster. If they're setting into a set, then you can pretty safely summon the Bora here. And even if your Bora gets destroyed by a Raikou, you get to deal that big pierce damage, and that puts your opponent closer to you being able to get some sort of OTK. As it stands right now, Tia is at 10,000 life points, so just swinging the value into a set monster, like, let's say this is like a Goblin Zombie, or let's say this is like a whatever, like, you want to get rid of that card. You don't want your opponent to get their footing here, because then it's just going to be really difficult for you to deal that 10,000 points of damage. I think in this game, if Tia was at 8,000, if these Upstart Goblins had not been played, I don't think there'd be any question. I think Dank Arm Dragon would be summoning the Bora and attacking. But I think because he gave those extra 2,000 life points, he's like, I don't want to play down a card in a longer game where my opponent has the life points to stabilize. So he like feels a little bit more scared to summon the Bora, but I think it's absolutely correct to summon the Bora here. At this point, like, you just need to start dealing damage and getting your Dark Armed online, basically. The Hamster's going to activate, and like I said, it's very likely to not be a Raikou simply because he set it into your set monster. So if they're setting into your set monster, granted, it could still be like a Raikou or a Hamster here, but it is most likely not going to be, and so it's a better percentage play to summon the Bora first. He gets the Raikou, and let's say it is the Hamster, right? It's also better to summon the Bora first. Like if it's Raikou, I think it's still better to summon the Bora first, and if it's not Raikou, then I think it's better to summon the Bora first. So either way, I think it's just better. Passes a turn, value's going to get Kaiest. Once again, not committing the Solemn. I think this is a clear case of just holding the Solemn for the next game. Once again, a bit of a mistake. I mean, your Solemn's not going to get better than stunting an early game play and then you being able to deal like 4,000 damage back to back here. I think just waited way too long on the Solemn Judgment here. Like even if the Solemn trades with Heavy, that means you can at least set the Deep Prison later. Now setting the Deep Prison later is like, it's just bad. You're forced to Solemn it. It's just bad. Obviously there's a Raikou in play, right? But like if they flip the Raikou, like, well, what are you gonna, you know what I mean? Like, all right, like you lose a Solemn, but that Raikou's gonna pop something no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, is there a chance you're getting to 3 darks next turn without specifically Whirlwind or Gale top deck? I don't even think so. Here comes Rhoda for Grepher. This can be a special summon Grepher and an OTK. This is a strength of Grepher plus Gores. Gores just gives you an extra card that you can pitch to special Grepher. Gores also would have made it very difficult for Dank Arm to ever really push through that 10,000 points of damage, even with Dark Arm Dragon here. I think that this is a clear case of just like, holding the Solemn for the next game, more or less. You don't want to make that kind of mistake twice, more or less. All right, this game, Dankarm Dragon does get to go first. He has a very similar starting hand with that Bora, but this time he's also got Shura and Gale, so he has a bit more speed. You go Allure of Darkness into... Yeah, I think that not summoning the Bora there was very crucial. It meant that he couldn't set his Solemn, he couldn't set his Deep Prison. It meant he couldn't play the game. He basically, by choosing not to play the game, that sort of choice slowly cascaded into a devastating loss. In Edison format, sometimes it's right to not play the game, like on the first turn there, but you got to recognize the situation, like, you got to recognize percentage points. Like, if I can't clear the set monster with my value, all of a sudden I have to Solemn a Caius. You know what I mean? If I can't clear the set monster with my value, all of a sudden I can't even set my Solemn or my Deep Prison, because if it's like, I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's like, you got to deal that damage, you got to build up to that 3 darks, you got to keep your opponent's board clear so that you're not under a constant threat of taking a bajillion damage, so you're not under a constant threat of like Caius into like a big OTK turn, etc. Anyway, Icarus Attack is a draw. So Icarus Attack, kind of a key player in this matchup. I think Icarus Attack is the way that Blackwings really pulls ahead of the Value Turbo deck in the mirror. It's not a mirror match, but like in the functional, like one deck has Raikou, one deck has Icarus Attack. And I think Icarus Attack is fundamentally more powerful than Raikou. Allure of Darkness is going to draw 2. It's going to find Upstart. Upstart might be able to find a Whirlwind. It does not. So 4 back row here, no road. Let's see how much of it he wants to commit. He does banish that Bora the Spear. Interesting to banish this card over Shura. I think Bora has a little bit more application in this matchup, simply because of its interaction with Raikou. When you summon Shura and you attack a Raikou, it's just a 1-for-1 trade. But when you summon Bora and attack a Raikou, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but you deal 1600, which is very real. Shura is better against Dark Refer and Armageddonite, which might be part of the reason why Dankarm Dragon is holding it. It is just a stronger monster in general, and it does better when they don't have specifically Raikou hamsters, so that's possibly a reason why he decided to keep the Shura. But I do think into specifically Raikou, Bora is better than Shura, obviously. Set back row past the turn, so it doesn't set the Icarus Attack, but this Dust Tornado can allow him to end phase set the Icarus Attack, which is probably what's going to happen. Okay, he doesn't end phase the Dust Tornado. I don't really understand this, but I kind of do, right? Like, you see the set monster, you're probably thinking, okay, maybe my Shura can get a plus. It's going to end up working out unfortunate for Dankarm because Tia did top deck that Raikou. I think this is a really interesting situation to be in. Just passes again. Dankarm Dragon playing this game very passively, but I think an end phase Dust Tornado into set Icarus might have been an interesting play. Necessarily the best, I don't really know, but you could have set up for like maybe like, you know, Gale trade with the set monster, and then you still have Shura. But maybe he wants to hold Shura Gale for this sort of setup here. Just another set monster makes sense. It's more likely that the second set monster is not Raikou. It's also, you know, he never has to flip this Raikou. Moom never really has to flip it into this potentially chainable back row. So Dankarm kind of in an interesting spot here. I think drawing the Sirocco is really important. You can go Sirocco Gale into Stardust Dragon, which can play through Raikous, but it does not play very well into Caius. I mean, you do have Bottomless Trap Hole to blink your Stardust. So I think the play here is going to be Dust Tornado hit the back row, Sirocco Special Gale, Synchro Stardust, attack the first set monster because it's most likely to be Raikou because it wasn't flipped, and then set 4 straight up. I think that's the play. So you're just going to be the Dust Tornado, Sirocco, Special Gale. No. Okay, so I don't like this play as much. I think this play is quite bad. Yeah. I think this play is worse. So Icarus hitting both. Yeah, this is not great, I think. I think I would have liked Sirocco Special Gale make Stardust set 4 because you can Bottomless on Caius, or not even set 4, just set Bottomless, set nothing else. Maybe set Bottomless, set Icarus. I don't know. But if they go like sack for Caius, target Stardust, you can go Bottomless, chain Stardust to negate the Bottomless. They hit you for 2400, but then you get the Stardust back in the end phase. And one thing that's notorious about the Value Turbo deck in general is that Stardust Dragon's actually really difficult for them to deal with. Stardust Dragon is a threat that it basically makes it so that they have to commit 2 or more cards into your back row, and that plays perfectly into Deep Prison. So I think that this play is a little too passive. I think I would have gone Stardust and just tried to clear the monsters that way. It saves your Icarus for later too, Icarus is incredibly punishing when you're taking your opponent's last 2 cards. When you're trading cards of high value, Icarus, Sirocco, into 2-set monsters, you don't even know if these monsters are Raikos. They could be Plague, they could be Necro, they could be Vayu, you know what I mean? You don't even know. Like, this is a very high value card in the matchup, Icarus attack, because it does an incredible job at dealing with the follow-up, like the pushes, the big pushes from Vayu Turbo. Trading it with the openers is not where you want to be trading the Icarus attack. I definitely like making Stardust Dragon there. I think that that's a better play. And I'm not just saying that because I have full information. Obviously, Tia's hand can deal with Stardust Dragon very easily. I'm just saying that, like, in the dark, into this setup, I think you have a better percentage point if you're just making Stardust Dragon here. Anyway, here comes Grepher, pitch Plague, send Necrogardna, attack for 1700. I think that this play is a little bit too passive from Tia. I think you have 3 darks here now. What is the game plan? I guess you have Necrogardna to protect the Grepher from Ashura. Let me think here. Huh. Was there a better play? So you could have pitched Caius, specialed Grepher. I don't know if there's a better play. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if there's a better play. But again, you would have had the Deep Prison set here had you had the Stardust, right? I don't know, it just would have been a better circumstance, I think, overall. The draws does Tornado, but again, you can't commit too much because you don't have that Stardust Dragon. You could set up for a Stardust Dragon. How do you do that? Okay, let me think here. If you go normal Shura, special Gale, Gale have Dark Grepher, attack with Gale, he's forced to save the Necrogardna. Yeah, you can't let the Gale, you can't let the Shura connect over Dark Grepher, because if the Shura connects over Dark Grepher, he gets Vayu and then he makes Stardust. So if you go Shura, special Gale, yep, Gale have the Dark Grepher, Gale attack first. Shura forces the Necrogardna, but I think Gale attack first makes it so he can't Necrogardna. Which I don't know if that's better or worse. I think maybe forcing the Necrogardna is probably better long term. Gale attacks, clears the Dark Grepher, but you'll notice there are 3 darks there, so that's pretty dangerous. Set 1. Not setting these prisons is crazy, but I guess you just really want to hedge against Heavy Storm. I mean, if he had Heavy Storm, he would have played it last turn. I think. I have a feeling. I could be wrong. Sirocco's an insane draw because it just is a card that you can go like Dark Armed. Nah, you can go Sirocco and it forces Bottomless and then Dark Arm wins. Yeah, I think Sirocco first is better. Yeah, Sirocco first is better. Because if you go Sirocco first and they don't Bottomless, then you can just special summon Dark Armed and blow up their shit. But I guess that plays more into Icarus. It's a 50-50. There are 2 Bottomlesses and there are 2 Icaruses left. So it's a 50-50. Yeah, I think it's just a straight 50-50. Solemn Judgment probably wouldn't hit the Sirocco in any case. So, yeah, I think it's just straight 50-50. Dark Arm's going to activate priority hit Shura, and that's going to banish the Dark Armed. Sirocco getting summoned here. Another thing he could have done was actually Sirocco stack for Plague, try to Black Rose nuke. And that would have left him with not only the live Vayu Armed Wing, but the live Dark Armed as well. That also forces Icarus. Interesting. Yeah, I think leading on Sirocco is just always better there. I could be wrong, but I think it's always better because then you can go Dark Armed, Armed Wing, hit for 51, and then if he doesn't clear both your monsters, then you have Caius for lethal. Maybe not lethal, but your opponent's on 3 cards and they have to deal with Dark Armed, Armed Wing with a double Caius coming. Or maybe you just go Armed Wing attack. Or maybe you don't do anything. Maybe you just wait till they commit their last few cards and then you go for the Dark Armed Dragon, blow up the last few cards, Armed Wing, and then sack for Caius for game. Yeah, so I think Black Rose into Do Nothing might have been the best play, which is weird, but I think that might have been the best play, knowing everything, but maybe he was scared of Starlight Road or something like that. Anyway, here comes the Sirocco Pump, runs over the Gale. Here's a Kalut, not the best, but it'll do. Wants to hold the Kalut in case of a top deck Whirlwind or a top deck Shura, makes sense. Here comes Caius, that's going to hit Dust Tornado, and Deep Prison's going to be activated. New back row's bottomless. I think you still have to play passively, which is a little bit unfortunate, but thankfully you do have bottomless and Deep Prison here as Dank Arm Dragon to deal with that Armed Wing. He's going to set 2 to sort of hedge against Heavy Storm. Return being the draw here is insane. That's just going to be game when it resolves. So here comes Vayu, activate, special summon. There's the bottomless, set return, and yeah, game's over. The return's going to get flipped, and there's pretty much nothing that can be done there. Going to get back a Necro, Dark Arm, or Dark Refer, Caius, and Vayu Sirocco. One thing you could even do is you could stack for Plague before going for the return, and that way you could even have a synchro play online as well. So yeah, I think this one's just Jover. Here comes stack for Plague first. Yeah, very heads up play from Tia. Sack for the Caius even. Yeah, very smart, very smart. Okay, yeah, this is game. You just attack with Caius, then you flip return, and that's going to be the match. So that definitely showcased the power of return from the different dimension in this deck. You get down to this low resource situation, and then you just have return, which is just a ridiculous card. It's basically burial number 2. I think it's very strong. Obviously, it's not great when your opponents are playing Trap Stun or playing like Battle Faders or playing like Royal Oppression, but when they're not, pretty fucking good. So yeah, I think this game definitely went kind of south from Dank Arm Dragon not using that Icarus attack optimally. I think not making that Stardust Dragon, not recognizing his hand. His hand had so many trap cards. What you want with those trap cards is Stardust Dragon. So very interesting stuff. Tia's going to move on. Dank Arm Dragon is going to be eliminated top 8, but he still gets his invite to RBET Ruler. So based, awesome. All right, next top 8 match is going to be between Ungo and Llama. Ungo or Llama is playing Blackwings, very similar to the last build, but with some really cute text. We've got Elfin the Raven and Cyber Dragon instead of Upstart Goblin. Only one Vayu, but I think that when you're not playing Grepher, only one Vayu is probably correct. He's not maining Royal Oppression. He is maining Torrential, and he is maining Starlight Road. I do like that. I think that that's pretty good, especially into the mirror match. Having Torrential and having Starlight Road is going to give you a lot of percentages, so I do like that a lot. Very, very solid deck building stuff. I think Elfin the Raven is really slept on. I think it's actually like a just straight up good card. And then sideboard, really interesting stuff. He's got the double Kaiku 0 Crow, which I think is based. He has elected to go for Chimera Tech. He does have the Thought Ruler. He's only on 1 Armor Master, which is interesting, especially with Elfin. Sorry. You'd think you'd want a second Armor Master, but maybe it just doesn't matter. Maybe it's just totally fine. I do like Triple Bora. I think just having the high density of Piercer is good. I mean, I think that, like, if you're going to play a deck like this, you should just max out on your dudes. I don't know if there's, like, a percentage where it's bad. Bora's obviously not great versus stuff like Hero Beat, but when you have the double Book of Moons, like Llama does, the Bora gets a lot better. I'll just say it. And then Ungo is playing a very, very old-school-looking Frog Monarch deck, which looks really fun. The way he's laid out his deck here looks really cool. I want to shout out to Ungo. This is actually his very first Edison tournament, and he made it all the way to top 8. So congratulations to him on earning his invite. I'm excited to see more of him in the future. Really, really unique stuff. He's got double Junk Synchron. That's sort of a 2023 adaptation to this deck. It's a very powerful card in Frog Monarchs because you can summon Junk Synchron, bring back Swap Frog, and then even though Swap Frog's effect is negated, you can still activate it and pay the cost. So you can bounce the Junk Synchron, sort of create an infinite resource engine there, infinite wall there with the Swap Frogs. It gives you a lot of late game grind potential, and it does give you access to the extra deck, which I think is really cool. He has Tempest Magician in the extra deck. Not really sure why. I feel like Tempest Magician can't be made in this deck, right? Like, there's just no spellcasters. Yeah, there's no reason to have Tempest Magician. I think that, like, you should probably cut that for something like Flamvel Urukizis, Ancient Fairy Dragon, maybe even Arcanite Magician, because Junk Synchron plus a stolen level 4 spellcaster can make Arcanite. Or maybe even Red Dragon Archfiend. Something like that. I think Tempest Magician doesn't really fit the bill for what you want. Maybe even a third level 5. I've had games, plenty of games, where a second Ally of Justice or a second Android do come up, especially when Junk Synchron is your premier way of synchro summoning. I really do like the triple Fader, triple Soul Exchange, triple Enemy Controller. Just max out on the good stuff. You know what I mean? Just max it out. Like, this is what the deck does. This is what the deck is good at. Just play what it's good at. You know what I mean? Just good card max, basically. You know, stop fucking around with Threatening Roar. Stop fucking around with that kind of stuff. Just, you know what I mean? Regeki Break, who? Yeah, didn't ask for Regeki Break. The sideboard is where things get really interesting. It has a lot of ways to attack the hand. Triple Water Art, double Deck Dev. Really unique. Triple Crow Burial. I just love the deck building here. It looks very modern. It looks very consistent. It looks very sleek. The deck looks good. The only thing that I think I would change is that Tempest Magician. I think that's never going to come up, realistically speaking. Let's go ahead and hop into the match. So winning rock, paper, scissors is going to be Llama 5. So Llama's playing Blackwings. He does win the rock, paper, scissors. Historically speaking, I think this matchup is actually pretty bad for Blackwings. I think the original style of Frog Monarchs, like this, with the triple Fader, the triple Soul Exchange, these styles of decks are really good against traditional non-hybrid Blackwings. Because cards like Dimensional Prison, cards like Icarus Stack, even Royal Oppression to some degree don't line up very well. That being said, Llama does have that Torrential Tribute, and that's often an FTK versus Frogs. He's going to set his Typhoon. He is going to set his Bottomless Trap Hole. And let's go ahead and call back to the last match that we watched. Once again, summoning Shura here. Do you really want to summon Shura first, or do you want to set this Vayu first? I think that there's a lot of merit to setting the Vayu first, because that means that next turn or on the subsequent turns, your Torrential Tribute isn't going to be bad. Summoning Shura also informs your opponent on how to play. If you just set a Vayu, you might be able to bait your opponent into committing a weaker monster that attacks into Raikou nicely, so that your Shura can run over that weaker monster and you can get value that way. I think more often than not, when you open up with the Vayu in situations like this and Shura, as well as that Torrential Tribute, you're going to want to set the Vayu first and not summon the Shura. I think this sort of opening play, even set Shura, is a little bit better than summon Shura here. I think that this summon Shura, also, it makes top deck Whirlwind significantly worse. I think summoning the Shura here is I would go as far to say as it is a misplay to summon this Shura here. It is straight up a misplay. The draw for turn is Substitoad, so Engine Online. The hand was looking a little bit sus, I'm not going to lie. A lot of tributes. Gores is functionally playable, but the Substitoad does get this Engine Online. Going to go for that Substitoad, activate, find that Swap Frog, send that Treeborn, bounce the Swap Frog, and pass. No reason to set the enemy controller because you do have that Gores. You want to keep it live. Going to pass the turn. The draw is Bora the Spear. So, once again, yeah, had you had the Vayu set, maybe, I don't know. I mean, he would have, what? He would have attacked with the Swap Frog into the set, most likely. If you go set Vayu, set Torrential, set Deep Prison, something like that, I'm not sure about all this. That's all I'll say is I'm not sure about all this. I'm trying to think if you had the set Vayu here, would it have made much of a difference? Or are you still going summon? Because I think like either way you're going to go summon Vayu Special Bora here and just swing with everything. Just try to rush your opponent and then just try to clutch with like a bottomless into burn damage basically. You're going to go pray he doesn't have a battle trap or a hand trap. Swing this turn for 4,300. Hopefully your traps plus your board pressure will make it too difficult for your opponent who's playing Frogs, which is a little bit slower to the board deck, to crack through that. And then from there, you hope to top deck the last 3,700 points of damage, which shouldn't be too hard because even if they go like Caius Banish the Shura, you still have 2,500. So any monster off the top will get you to that game shot. So yeah, he's not going to summon the Vayu. Oh, he is going to summon the Vayu. Okay, yes. So he's making the play that I think this is the correct play. I think this is the right play. This is just going to be a lot of damage. Here's 1,800, but there is a hand trap, and it is the form of Gores. I think this is going to be really difficult for Llama to come back from. I think this game's just over. And this is going to be Treeborn Frog. And what you actually should do here is Torrential on the Treeborn Frog. Probably, yeah. Just going to enemy controller, sack Treeborn, bring out the Treeborn, double sack for Light and Darkness. And now you have to go bottomless chain Torrential, I believe. Oh no. Yeah, that's a huge error. You could even go like Typhoon Chain Torrential and keep your bottomless as well. Yeah, so the way Light and Darkness Dragon works is it says when a spell or trap is activated or the effect of an effect monster is activated, that activation is negated and this card loses 500 attack and defense. This effect can only activate once per chain, I believe. Yeah, it doesn't say it on the card though. So if this is your first time playing against Light and Darkness Dragon, basically it only activates once per chain. I'm not sure if that's an Edison format specific errata, or if that's just the way it was ruled, or that's just the way it is always ruled. But it can only activate once per chain. So basically what you do is you go Typhoon, target your own Torrential, Chain Torrential, blow up the board, or you could go Typhoon, target your own Bottomless, Chain Bottomless, and then you have Deprison to deal with the Gores. So you lose 3 back row, but you traded with Enemy Controller, Gores, and Light and Darkness, and now all you need to do is find something that deals with the token. That's one way of looking at it. Or you could go Typhoon, Chain Torrential, and then you lose your back row, you lose all your monsters, but you do get to clear that token as well. They will be able to special summon back out that Substitute, but Light and Darkness Dragon will not be able to special summon the Gores because the way Light and Darkness Dragon is worded, it says, when this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, select one monster in your graveyard. So you have to select the monster before you destroy your own board. So it would have to select the Substitute before the Gores is even in the graveyard. So yeah, I think this is just like spending the Torrential there. That's probably a game-losing mistake. I'm not going to lie. Switch the token. Token attacks the Vayu. Gores attacks the Bora. Pretty straightforward stuff. And Deprison's going to, yeah, just trade with the Light and Darkness. This game's over. So I think a little bit of inexperience here playing against Light and Darkness Dragon from Llama 5, which just goes to show like how good this card is when people stop playing it for extended periods of time. This card has not seen a lot of play for the last couple of years now. It hasn't been like in the limelight, and players who are maybe newer to Edison, players who have maybe started playing Edison due to the Edison boom in the last 2 years, might not know exactly how this card works, and as a result, you might see Light and Darkness Dragon sort of have this resurgence every so often, every year or so, when you get a wave of newer players or players who don't know how the old ways work. You know what I'm saying? So Light and Darkness Dragon here, definitely. I mean, I don't think Llama would have won this game in any capacity. I think Ungo's hand is just far too good, but I think that there are chances because of the 3,700 life total being very low that some string of Dark Armed into Brain Control could have got there. Like, there are chances. I think Llama has, like, he goes from maybe a 10% chance to win to a 0% chance to win because of his inexperience into Light and Darkness Dragon there. Draw Solemn Judgment. Game's over on board. So that's going to be game 1. Looking at their sideboards, let's see how much Llama has to side versus Frogs. He actually has a very good sideboard for Frogs. He has triple Mask of Restrict, double Pulling the Rug, double Fossil Dyna, double Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, and double Royal Oppression. So man's got literally 11 cards to bring in versus Frogs. Let's see if any of those 11 cards here make a difference. I do notice that players who maybe have a little bit less experience, and I'm not saying Llama has less experience against Frogs, but showing how he handled that Light and Darkness Dragon in the last game it tells me he probably doesn't have the most play experience versus Frogs. Players who have less experience versus Frogs tend to overside for it. They tend to have 10 plus cards for Frogs, when in reality you don't really need 10 plus cards versus Frogs. You just need like a clutch Pulling the Rug plus pressure, or like maybe a Mask of Restrict here and there. The big issue with Mask of Restrict that I am noticing is that it is proactive. However, it does make it so that you cannot use your own Icarus attacks or tribute summon your own Sirocco's. Maybe that comes up. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Maybe Mask of Restrict is just too good versus Frogs that it doesn't matter. But I do think that Mask of Restrict in a deck that can't readily deal with Dupe Frog is not ideal. I don't think it's the best sideboard choice. I think between the Dynas, the Kaikus, and the Pulling the Rugs, you probably have Frogs covered. I don't think you necessarily need triple Mask of Restrict in this deck, but who knows? Maybe he thinks that it's the choice. That being said, looking at his hand, immediately I'm noticing Heavy Storm. And yeah, again, a little bit of inexperience versus Frogs. Maybe he's played more against the newer Frog decks that have a lot of back row. But seeing Light and Darkness Dragon, you got to know that there's not a lot of back row in the versions of the deck that are playing Light and Darkness Dragon, because Light and Darkness Dragon doesn't really do that well with back row that isn't Book of Moon. So I think that if you had a little bit more familiarity with Frog Monarchs in general, then you would know that you could very easily side out Heavy Storm here, and that Heavy Storm would have been one of his key side-in cards, whether that is Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, Master Restrict, or Pulling the Rug, or it would have just been a card in that slot that you would have maybe wanted to leave in instead, maybe Icarus Attack or something like that. Anyway, the draw is Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, so he does have 2 of his sideboard cards, but he does have that dead Heavy Storm. He doesn't have a lot of great back row here. He's going to lead off with Summon Bora and pass. I think that this is probably one of the... Why do you want to do this? I don't know if this is right. Let me think. I think you want to summon Dinah and pass, or set Dinah and pass. I'm not sure though. Yeah, I think you want to summon or set Dinah and pass. I think set Bora or summon Bora and set 2 passes. It's okay. I just think summon Dinah is a little bit better, because they'll go like, I mean, it's just very difficult for them to play under Dinah. Like Subsitoad is just a dead card. It just shuts off Subsitoad basically. But then again, you don't have a great way of dealing with Subsitoad here, so maybe you want to set the Dinah so that they do activate the Subsitoad, and then you flip the Dinah, and then you summon Kaiku, and you banish the Grave, and you hit for 12, and you hit for 3,000, you're just chilling. Yeah, I think set Dinah, set Book, maybe is the best play, but I could be wrong. Here comes Dupe Frog. Setting Heavy Storm is pointless. It's just making yourself go minus into their Heavy Storm. There's really no reason to set Heavy Storm versus Frogs. Just keep it in your hand. You're going to want it for Bryonic Pitches later. Normally that only comes up game 1, but versus Frogs, there's really no reason to set this Heavy Storm. Other than maybe he wants to bait a Heavy Storm from his opponent here. But like if you draw more back row, you're not setting it. You know what I mean? You're not going to set additional. Like if you draw a Mask of Restrictor or Pulling the Rug, you're going to set that too. So what are you going to do in that instance? You know, what if they just don't Heavy Storm you yet? You know? Anyway, here comes Pitch Special. So a little bit punished for not summoning the Dinah. But again, I think I would have set the Dinah. I think looking at this hand, I think set Dinah is probably the move. Anyway, Swap Frog is going to send Subsitoad. Here comes Summon Subsitoad. He's going to go for the full Froggy combo. Book of Moon is going to handle that. But once again, I would have loved to see a set Dinah there. I think that would have definitely been the play. I would not have expected him to go for the Subsitoad here. I think I would have gone for maybe Ryza, but maybe he's just thinking I established the dupe block and he can go for Ryza or Light and Darkness Dragon later. He did see Torrential Tribute last game, so that is something he needs to be careful of. But I think this specific circumstance, things look pretty good for Ungo, actually. He's got 2,000 defenders. He's got a third in hand. It walls entirety of Llama's hand. Llama's got a dead Heavy Storm. Rise of the Storm Monarch comes down. Light and Darkness Dragon comes down. And I think the game is straight up fucking over. So, yeah, here he's basically forced to summon Dinah so that Treeborn Frog doesn't come back. Is he going to summon it with... What's going on here? Lag? Oh, he's going to summon Dinah set. Okay, yeah, he must have misclicked or something like that. Anyway, he passes. Burial's a good way to combat Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, but it doesn't do anything against Dinah. Here, you're going to sack for Ryza. I don't know about this one, Chief. I would have gone Light and Darkness, maybe. No, this is good. No, this is good. Yeah, well, no, I don't know. What do you think? Ryza targets the Dinah. You attack the Bora. They Mirror Force the Ryza. They resummon the Dinah. Yeah, Mirror Force also not great versus Frogs. You do kind of have to have it with Mask of Restrict as a concession to Unifrog, but it's not the best card here, so maybe he predicts that there is no. I like double sack for Lad. I think double sack for Lad is clearly the play. Because next turn you can... Because double sack for Lad clears Dinah no matter what, or it clears both back row. And then if it clears both back row, then you can like set your next dupe and you're fine. And they're kind of locking themselves under their own Dinah, so it's okay. Like, you're going to take 2,900, but who fucking cares, right? Like, next turn you can set dupe and then pivot into Ryza and their back row is gone. So either Light and Darkness Dragon is going to clear the Dinah. And based off what you knew about the last game, you noticed your opponent had 4 back row. He didn't go for the chain torrential play. He maybe just doesn't know how to play into Light and Darkness Dragon. And so based off of your opponent not knowing how to play into Light and Darkness Dragon, it obviously gets a lot better to go for it here. So if I was in Ungo's position, I probably would have jammed the Light and Darkness Dragon. It's pretty bad into Solemn Judgment. I'll give him that. It's pretty bad into Solemn. But this is... I mean, this is alright. Still kind of works. Because you still leave the Dupe Frog around. It's just... you're kind of just chilling. Okay, so set Dinah here doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Draw, here comes Treeborn. Yeah, like, you still want to lock out that Treeborn. You still don't want him to be able to Treeborn. Because if he Treeborns and he Monarchs you here, you get fucked. Like, that is not good. Anyway, here comes 1 for 1. This is going to be a completion of the Froggy boys. Unifrog attacking, popping that last back row. Once again, you don't even need to set this Heavy Storm there. Double sack for Light and Darkness. You got dupe Light and Darkness. I don't know, man. I don't think clearing the back row is as important as clearing the Dinah, but what do I know? Okay, flip Dinah is going to proc Light and Darkness. Sack for Sirocco. Yeah, sack for Sirocco. Activate Sirocco pump. Negate with Lad. Ooh. Interesting. Tragodia was the draw. Alright, well, Lad attacks Bora the Spear. Kalut gets activated. Lad negates the Kalut. Drops to 1,300. And then Lad is destroyed by battle. Lad is now going to activate. But that Kalut is now gone. So Lad can bring out the Ryza. How does this work? And special summon that monster. I think you do get the Dupe Frog add back. I'm fairly certain. So Lad is going to special summon Ryza. He says declared to summon dupe. Oh no. There must have been like a judge calling on this. Like he must have targeted Dupe Frog to bring back, but either way you would still get the Dupe Frog effect to add, but it looks like he's going to miss that, and it is optional, so Llama's not required to inform him. Man, messy sequence this game. A lot of messy sequences. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. You bring out the Ryza, you get the Dupe Frog add back of Swap Frog, you run over the Sirocco, and you're pretty much just winning. Straight up. As it stands, you're okay, but pump Bora. I think you want to summon the other Bora. Just get the damage in. There's really no reason to not do that. Dupe Frog's going to activate. It's going to add back or add Swap Frog to hand. Not going to summon the Trag here. Interesting choice. I think I like that. Just to make sure your soul exchanges, yeah, your soul exchanges and your enemy controllers are good off the top. Do you want to bring back Treeborn? Looks like he does. Looks like he's probably going to... What the fuck? I was going to say soul exchange, sack the Sirocco, and summon Tragodia. Yeah, this is bad. This game is a wash. Why are you giving him direct attacks? That's game with Kalut. Wow. That is a game that I didn't think Ungo would lose. But a sequence of messy errors in top 8, man. That's tough. That's tough. Also, looking at this hand, I really don't like siding DD Crow versus Blackwings. At what point in the first 2 games did you see DD Crow doing anything? Like, at what point is this card going to be good versus Blackwings? I don't know about that one, Chief. That seems like a pretty bad side-in. Yeah, you don't want DD Crows. Burial's not bad, because you just need the counter hit. Dust Tornado's not bad. Cyber Dragon's not bad. But DD Crow, it really Like, it'll stop Blizzard, it'll stop Dark Arm, but it doesn't do a lot in this matchup. I guess stopping Blizzard is good? I don't know. Anyway, draws Treeborn Frog. Pretty much the perfect draw off the top. Just get you Treeborn access. I really don't like setting Typhoon. Oh my gosh. This is such a bad play. If your opponent just summons a monster and attacks and doesn't set anything else, your Treeborn is dead. And then you lose. You actually just lose if that happens. If your opponent just doesn't play into Dust Tornado or Space Typhoon, which obviously is going to be Dust Tornado or Space Typhoon, then you lose. There's no reason to set Space Typhoon outside of specifically Black Whirlwind. And even then, you like let them get the Whirlwind Search and then, all right, fine. You Typhoon there, whatever, you Brain Control, you sack for Lad, and you're still fine. So I think like this is Fear of Whirlwind right here. Anyway, here comes Allure of Darkness, draw 2, banish Blizzy. Ironic, the one card that DD Crow would do anything about. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. This is so bad. Yeah, Shura attacks. Gets to activate, special summons out the Gale, attacks for 1300. And now, Llama can punt this game. Llama can absolutely punt this game. What you should do here is just synchro into Armor Master and pass. That gets you a third Dark in play, even if it's removed with Soul Exchange. Then you get a special summon Dark Arm Dragon. You don't need to set Torrential. You don't need to play into Dust Tornado or Space Typhoon. This is very obviously Dust Tornado or Space Typhoon. It wasn't Deep Prison, wasn't a Mirror Force, wasn't a Dust Shoot, wasn't a Regeki Break, wasn't a Phoenix Wing Wind Blast because he set the Treeborn Frog. It's very, very obviously either a Threatening Roar or a Space Typhoon or a Dust Tornado. Kill his Treeborn Frog by not setting any of your back row. I know for a fact he is going to set his back row here. Yep. Oh my gosh. Never punished. The Frog players are never punished. Definitely inexperience here from Llama on that one. That is a... yeah. Huge misplay from Ungo goes unpunished. It's essentially the same had he just held the Space Typhoon, so the game is like playing out as it naturally probably should have, but yeah, brutal. And you definitely want to make Armor Master here. It's the third Dark, so if it gets enemy controller taken, you can at least special summon Dark Arm Dragon. This play, when you leave 2 monsters in play versus Frog Monarchs, exposes you to Soul Exchange into Monarch, enemy controller into Monarch, Brain Control into Monarch. Basically, every steal effect punishes you for having multiple cards in play. You want to have less cards in play versus Monarchs for obvious reasons. Anyway, steal, Gale activate. That doesn't resolve. This Gale is negated by Shura, so he's going to attack. I don't think either player is going to catch that. Yeah, he's going to take the wrong amount of damage there. He should have taken only 1,000 damage there because Shura negates the effects of the monster it summons. And when you Brain Control that monster, it is still negated. That does not change. That is not the second time I've seen that same mistake. That is more than the second time I've seen that same mistake in the last week. But yes, Shura does negate the effects of the monsters it summons. That's the reason why you're able to synchro with Vayu when you summon it off of Shura. Yeah, set Kalut. What? Bro, what? Yeah, I guess that's the third Dark. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's the third Dark. It's the third Dark and it gives you Dark Arm with the battle phase. Okay, I get it. Sets Brain Control. Why? Why set the Brain? I don't... Anyway, set Unifrog. Why? Your Light and Darkness Dragon is going to destroy it. What? Why are you setting Unifrog? There's no reason to set it. I guess it gets your Junk Synchron live? I don't fucking know, man. This just gives your opponent something to attack with Shura or Vayu, or this just makes your position worse. I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, passes the turn. Here comes Dark Armed. Activates. Normals Dyna. That Light and Darkness Dragon is going to destroy the whole field. Nothing is going to be able to special summon. It destroys the Unifrog, and yeah. Oh my gosh. Just thinking about this game. I mean, I think the set Kalut there wasn't too bad. I think you knew your opponent couldn't really play super further into their own Light and Darkness Dragon, which really makes you think, should he have sacked his Lad for the Kayas? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what he draws. Soul Exchange. So, never punished. And that's why triple Soul Exchange is good. Because it just gets you out of situations like this, especially post board. Especially post board. And there's no way to stop this. I mean, it's going to clear both monsters, guaranteed. Sack for Dark Arm. Kai's is going to banish the Dyna, and you just get a solid 3 for 2. You're at 4,200, but your opponent only has 3 cards, so could be a lot worse. 1,700 coming across. Sets back row. Okay, 2,500 is dangerous. Wow, that's insane. Had he not drawn the Substitute, I think he would have lost to that brain control. Dude, this DD Crow is so fucking bad. Anyway, he goes Substitute, sack for Treeborn. Brings Swap Frog. Swap Frog send Treeborn. You get to go for everything, basically, here. Set up double dupe, and then, yeah, all of a sudden that brain control is, like, not looking very good. It went from, like, looking very good to not looking very good. And D-Prison, a card that you have to keep in concession to Unifrog, ironically, at this point in the game, is just going to do very little. Draw for turn is Blizzy. Brain control is going to take one. Summon Blizzy, activate. The Crow finally going to do something. But this should be game, right? I guess Armory Arm isn't commonly extra decked. So I guess it's not game. Interesting. So then what do? What 8-star do you make here? He tries to make Dark End. That is an illegal play. Dupe Frog is not dark. That is an illegal play. Let's see if they're going to catch that. Oh, they are going to catch that. He says, I don't take dark. He says, no, you played. No, he can't. He literally can't play. It's an illegal play. Yeah. Yes. Ungo says, can you play faster, please? So, yeah. I mean, fair. He's going to synchro into Colossal. Colossal attack dupe. Thought Ruler's better here. It plays around enemy controller and plays around Soul Exchange. But functionally, it's the same. Dupe Frog's going to activate. Dupe Frog can add back Swap Frog, giving you an extra pitch to Bryonic. You can even just Heavy Storm here. That's fine, too. Normal, special, Synchro Bryonic. Bryonic pitch, bounce the Colossal. Put your opponent on nothing, hit for 23, and say good luck, have fun. Wow, what a game. I wanted to say it was a very interesting game. I think Ungo has a high density of good top decks, but he definitely hit a couple of them, I'm not going to lie. Here comes Treeborn Frog. Bringing back Treeborn Frog when you're at 2,500 versus Blackwings is fucking insane. Like, I get it that 2 Blizzards are gone, but, like, holy shit, dude. All he does is make Armed Wing and you fucking die on the spot. That is insane. Did you not learn from the last game that bringing back Treeborn Frog just gives your opponent direct attacks? Oh my gosh. And he's not even going to bounce the back row. He says, fuck it, you don't have it. Book of Moon is going to hit Bryonic. If he had bounced the back row, he could have, flipped the Bryonic and connected. Mask of Restrict being the draw. Oh, man. What an interesting game. Crazy game. But yeah, I mean, that's just going to be bounce. Attack for 23. Sack for Caius. Caius target itself. And that's going to be the match. Crazy match. Crazy match. I don't know. A lot of mistakes. A lot of stuff to learn. I think that's a very big learning experience from that match. It's very rare you see a lot of this stuff come up all at once. Sometimes it's like one thing per match, but a lot to take away here. DD Crow, did it do anything that game? I guess it kept him alive. It actually ended up being crucial. I think had he been able to bring back a monster there, he goes... Does it keep him alive? Let me think. He brings back a monster. He synchros into an 8-star. He has 8-star plus Bora into a defense position Dupe Frog. Maybe it doesn't keep him alive. Or maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe he stays alive no matter what, because he's at 25 and the 8-star needs to clear the dupe. Yeah, maybe it doesn't matter either way. Okay, I don't think it ended up mattering. But it did have application, which I am very surprised about. Normally this card doesn't do very much versus Blackwings, but being able to stop Blizzard, I guess maybe he knows something that I don't. I don't know, maybe. All right, the last of the top 8 matches is going to be Best Yu-Gi-Oh! Player NA versus J-Coop. We've seen Best Yu-Gi-Oh! Player NA in top 8s before. He is a very strong player. You know him because he plays Diva Zombies. Diva Hero Zombies, to be exact. And J-Coop is playing Vayu Turbo. Let's take a look at each of these lists. So, Best Yu-Gi-Oh! Player NA, aka Jake, it looks very similar to his most recent top 8 list, but there are some changes. I think in the last list he was playing Mystic Tomato. In this list, it looks like he's on triple Pyramid Turtle, no Mystic Tomato. Now, in these types of lists, I do like Mystic Tomato because of its ability to grab Malicious, and that gives you the powerful play of Tomato into Malicious, normal summon Diva, and double 8-star. However, that may not come up often enough for it to warrant not playing Pyramid Turtle, which is overall just a better recruiter because it can summon in defense position, and it can also turn on your Book of Life, which is pretty important, as well as turn on your Mizuki and turn on your Zombie Master. And it can also make it so that you can synchro into Revive King Hades or Doomkaiser Dragon if you need to. In the side deck, he likes to do this thing where he side decks a shitload of 1-ofs because he does have those 2 Gold Sarks. I love this deck building. I think it is so cool to play this type of like toolbox Gold Sark style deck where you can Gold Sark for any one of these power cards and you basically get to side. Like, he's basically working with, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 27, 30. He's basically working with, like, a 40-card side deck because of the way Gold Sark works, searching for your side deck silver bullets. I think that is so fucking cool. It's kind of like in Magic the Gathering. I don't know if you guys have played Magic the Gathering, but there are decks that are called Wish decks, or decks that play Karn, and those cards let you add cards from your sideboard to your hand. And it's like basically like you get to play 2 decks all in one without having the inconsistency of playing like 60 cards, for example. So that is really, really unique. I think that is something unique to his specific build of this deck. We haven't really seen this in too many other styles of decks besides maybe DD Warrior Lady Dragons as the other premier Gold Sark deck, Jinzo as well, the premier Gold Sark decks in the format. But I think this deck in particular does exceptionally well with Gold Sark because of its ability to stall. You can Gold Sark for your power cards, and then you can set a Pyramid Turtle, and your opponent's kind of stuck in a bad spot where they're like, I need to rush him down or he's going to get his power card. But if I rush him down, I'm going to be activating his Pyramid Turtle. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I really, really like this build. It's one that, like, I don't personally play this build of zombies. I'm more partial to the Instant Fusion build of zombies, but I think you can make a strong argument for this being, like, one of the premier builds of the deck. We've got Vayu Turbo from J. Coop. He's on triple Sirocco. He's on single Hamster. He is also on Return Chaos Sorcerer. So pretty important cards, I think, for Vayu Turbo. One thing that people kind of... I think the name Vayu Turbo is really misleading. This deck's pretty slow. Normally speaking, it's very normal summon reliant. It's very reliant on Raikou activating. It takes its time. It takes its time to set up. One thing about Chaos Sorcerer and Return from the Different Dimension is these are not slow cards. Return kind of is, but Chaos Sorcerer absolutely is not. Like, these are cards where you can make multiple big plays in one turn. They're not normal summon reliant. They're not reliant on you having any prior setup. They're not reliant on you doing anything too crazy. So, having the Return and the Chaos Sorcerer definitely make it so that middle game part of the deck is incredibly fast. It makes it much faster. And the most successful lists we've seen in the past 6-7 months have played both Chaos Sorcerer and Return. So, worth noting that these power cards are, I think, strong additions to this style of deck. I do like triple Sirocco into a field full of Blackwings. The sideboard, a little bit different from the previous sideboards. No Vanity's Fiend, no Gores. The Gores is actually in the main. He's got double Snowman for Hero Beat, which can be an annoying matchup for this deck. I don't think it's necessarily a bad matchup because I think this deck inherently is more powerful than Hero Beat. You're just doing a better thing than they are. Plus, you have Royal Oppression to stop their only good thing, which is Miracle Fusion. But it is nice to just have Snowman Eaters to help give you that, like, free win versus Blackwings versus Heroes, or that free advantage. I shouldn't say free win, but it puts you in a great position when you resolve Snowman Eater versus those decks. Double Deck Dev, triple Dust Tornado. I like that a lot. I do actually like maining Dust Tornado in some capacity, but you do weaken your matchup against Frogs if you do main the Dust Tornado. So let's go ahead and hop into the game. I'm excited to see this matchup. I think Zombies is a slight favorite, but I think Instant Zombies is a little bit better because they do have that triple Book of Life. Whereas I think the Diva Zombies is a little bit worse because not only are you prone to more inconsistent hands with the double Malicious, single Malicious, double Diva, that sort of thing, but you're also, I think, a little bit more vulnerable to certain cards, namely Pulling the Rug and Royal Oppression. Instant Zombies is vulnerable to Royal Oppression, don't get me wrong, but they have those trap stuns, and they also force you to have the Royal Oppression immediately. Instant Zombies is just faster. You instant fusion, then you sack for Caius, and it's like, did you have Royal Oppression turn 1? Okay, then I'm good. Whereas the Diva Zombie style deck, the Diva Hero Zombie style deck, Oppression at any point in the game is going to be punishing, not just on turn 1. So I think it's interesting to think about that in terms of matchup. So I think the Diva Hero deck is favored, but I think or not Diva Hero, sorry, Diva Hero Zombie deck is favored, but I think it's a very slight favorite. Chaos Sorcerer and Gores in the opening, fantastic cards. You definitely want to see these cards in this matchup. These cards are both great. Gores not only to stop that big OTK push, but Chaos Sorcerer to help you after that OTK push happens. Turn 1 set Raikou. Let's see if he sets that bottomless. He does. He's going to pass the turn. Book of Life is a great card to see. It's like pretty much the best thing you can draw here, because you do just want to go Pyramid Turtle attack, and yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. That's going to hit a Raikou. Raikou's going to pop the Pyramid Turtle, and he's going to mill a Vayu. Now, main phase 2, you can just shotgun that Book of Life, put that Pyramid Turtle back in defense position. There's no reason not to do that. Yep, and it looks like that's what's going to happen. Going to banish the Vayu, so already off to a pretty solid start, and this is why like I said in the introduction to this match, that Book of Life is so good against this deck. You just summon your opener, run over their Raikou, they maybe mill something good, but then you just Book of Life your opener back, and all of a sudden, the zombie player is the player with the position, despite going second, and they've interrupted your powerful graveyard strategy. So, draw for turn is Raikou. Now, that Chaos Sorcerer could have been played here. Why didn't he? I'm like trying to think why you wouldn't do that. No, yeah, you should absolutely have played Chaos Sorcerer there. Yeah, just play Chaos Sorcerer, banish the turtle. What? Am I missing something? I must be missing something. Yeah, I must be missing something. Anyway, I think best Yu-Gi-Oh! NA, if there wasn't a Gores in his opponent's hand, he would have an opportunity for a game shot here. No, he wouldn't. Bottomless trades with Bionic. Never mind. But he has an opportunity for some powerful plays. He's going to go Future Fusion. Let's see if he wants to send that evil guy. He probably sends the Malicious just because he can stack the Malicious due to this plague here. Yeah. So I think what you do is you make Hades. Yeah, you make Hades first. Yep, that's going to be met with Bottomless. Force Bottomless. And then you go stack for Plague, make Stardust. Yeah. Yeah, that's good, yeah. Yeah, that's very good. And Miracle is now live. Wow, this is very good. Now, Jacob's just going to mill only here, and he does have very strong cards to come back from this. And him waiting on the Chaos Sorcerer ended up paying off big for him. Let's see, does best Yu-Gi-Oh! NA player want to play the Miracle Fusion? I would not. And the reason I would not play the Miracle Fusion is it exposes you to brain control. You want to keep this Miracle Fusion for follow-up. And you want to be a little bit careful of Gores, I think. Yeah, smart play from best Yu-Gi-Oh! Player NA. Yeah, I like this a lot. Here comes the mill. If you wanted to deny this mill, you could have gone Dark End. But it's a little bit less resilient. Stardust Dragon is very good versus the Value Turbo deck, normally. And that's another reason why I think this Chaos Sorcerer is just very, very good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, anyway. Just because it deals with Stardust Dragon, and this deck struggles with Stardust Dragon a lot. The Value Turbo deck struggles with Stardust Dragon, especially when you have nothing in play, or a poor grave. Anyway, Burial off the top, so a lot of power cards drawn. Here's going to be that Chaos Sorcerer. That's going to banish the Stardust Dragon ASAP. But the Burial's not really doing much just yet. No, wait. He might have game. Let me think here. Summon Grepher, Pitch Plague, send Sirocco, Burial, put back the Vayu. You can stack for Plague. That is Goyo, Armed Wing, Chaos Sorcerer. No, that's not quite game. Is there a way to game shot here? There might be. Let's see. He's going to go for the Grepher now. Stack for Plague. Oh, he has to synchro with Chaos Sorcerer. So it's synchro with Chaos Sorcerer into Colossal. Colossal has 1, 2 warriors, so it's 3,000. And then Armed Wing is Grepher. Armed Wing, Grepher, and Colossal is only 7,000. So you don't have game. Yeah, maybe you don't go for it then. Yeah, you just go for the 4 or the 17. Yeah, you just don't have game yet. Interesting. Tricky. It was close. It was very close, but he needed that extra 1,000 points. I wasn't able to get there. Typhoon is the draw. Typhoon, unfortunately, bricked against a hand of all monsters. Chaos Rush are really carrying a lot of weight this game. This is standby phase number 1 for Future Fusion. That Miracle Fusion follow-up is now live. So he can go for... Oh, wait. Is this standby phase number 2? Did I miss something? No, this is standby phase number 1. Yeah, Future Fusion was activated last turn. Right? Let me think. Yeah, last turn he made Hades. He made the Stardust. Yeah. No, that was last turn. This is only turn 1. Are neither player going to catch that? Wow. Neither player is going to catch that. Damn, that's crazy. Well, that obviously alters this game a lot. Because that is a... What? How did no one catch that? Am I missing something here? Oh, you don't really want to attack there. That is a bad attack. Ooh, Reaper. Reaper pretty good. Here comes the Armed Wing Summon, set Burial, pass. Typhoon hits the Burial. Chain Burial, put back Vayu Sirocco. Why did he summon the Armed Wing? I guess to set the Burial? I don't fucking know. But don't you just lose the Armed Wing now? I guess you can level it up and do Armor Master if he attacks over it. I might have considered attacking the Grepher the previous turn. Oh no, I guess not, because the Chaos Sorcerer can make Stardust with Plague. Okay, Rhoda for Stratos. Stratos can search Evil Guy. Man, that Absolute Zero changed the whole game. That is unfortunate, but nobody caught it. So it is a shame I was not watching this live because of my internet issues. I definitely would have caught it and told them to reverse it, but alas, here it is. He's going to attack with that Armor Master. He's going to give him access to that, or Armed Wing, sorry, give him access to the Armor Master. And the draw for turn is going to be Dark Armed Dragon. Can he get down to 3 darks? That'd be pretty impressive here. Let's see, Vayu Sirocco Plague, that puts him at 5 darks, so no. Dark Armed Dragon is just bricked here. Unfortunate. Sometimes you do draw Dark Armed Dragon, and it is a dead card, but that's just the nature of the deck. Here comes Attack Absolute Zero. That should destroy the Future Fusion, provided they assumed that it was summoned off Future Fusion. That's wild. Anyway, Miracle Fusion follow-up is pretty good. Yeah, they do catch the Future Fusion be gone. Here's the Absolute Zero. That can trade with the Silverwind. Why did he not... What? Dude, attack the Silverwind. Attack directly with Reaper. Take your fucking +1s. You have Call of the Haunted to come back in the game. Huh? What fucking swing with Reaper, brother? He's forced to drop the core. Oh my god, why? Why lose your Stratos for free? That's a real card here. That's a good card here. That's your Call of the Haunted into Diva. I guess he wants to, like, call Diva to make Absolute Zero stronger, but it's like, dude, you're just losing your Stratos for no reason. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this. Call of the Haunted is your follow-up. You want to get that Reaper rip ASAP. I guess maybe he's scared of, like... No, both Vayus have been used. Burial is gone. Return is gone. There's no way for those Vayus to get more... There's no grave resource here except for Plague, and Plague doesn't do anything if Silverwind is gone. Like, it just doesn't do anything. And if anything, you can exploit that Plague by making Doom Kaiser and stealing it. The fact that the Plague is there is, like, good for you. No, I definitely think Crash Attack with Reaper is correct here. Put your opponent on 0 cards, or 1 card. This is, like, not connecting with the Reaper. It just makes it silly that you ever got that Reaper. Like, there was really no reason... Like, this Reaper has been a dead card the entire game. Yeah, I don't like this. Here comes Call on Diva, but it's like you spent the Call, the Stratos, and the Absolute Zero to, like you killed the Silverwind, but you could have had, like, Stratos plus another Synchro here, plus the Reaper, plus a Hand Rip, instead of having Absolute Zero plus a 5-star, more or less, or 7-star, I guess. But I guess it's fine. Diva attack is really smart. That's a smart play, because if it's Raikou, he has to hit 0, or Reaper, he has to choose. I guess you're getting the Hand Rip anyway. It ended up working out more or less the same. Interestingly enough. He's going to Synchro into Armory Arm. Armory Arm equipped to Absolute Zero. Wow, very smart. Very heads up. The Reaper in attack position is a little bit sus, but he has 0 cards. Like, what's he going to do? You know? Draw for turn is Sirocco. When did he get that value engrave? What? Oh, he had it set. That's right. The value plus the... Wait, why did he concede? Why did he concede? What? Why did he concede? He was at 5,300. Hold on. Hold the fuck on. Hold up. Why did he concede? He was at 5,300. Am I missing something? Hold up. We're gonna go back all the way through this. Sirocco has an effect, yes, but Sirocco has a very real drawback. It's that your other monsters cannot attack. Like, he doesn't have lethal damage there. Let me just make sure I'm seeing things correctly. Does he have lethal damage there? Oh, maybe he doesn't need to pump. Maybe that's lethal damage no matter what over the Reaper. Okay, maybe it's lethal damage no matter what. Let me see. 17 plus 23 plus 2,000 is 37 plus 24 is 61. It's 61. Okay, yeah, he does have lethal. Okay. My bad. Yeah, I was thinking like, oh, if he Sirocco pumps, then he doesn't have lethal, but he just doesn't need to pump, and it's still lethal. So, crazy reversal there. I think I would have gone for the Spirit Reaper earlier. I think I would have done that a little bit differently, but really interesting game for sure. All right, opening hand, double Diva. Basically exactly what I was talking about at the beginning. This deck just breaks more than the Instant Fusion deck does, and that's the reason why, honestly, me and the people I playtest with have moved off of the Diva version, because you just break more. And when you're playing in games, like, breaking more sucks. That being said, Pyramid Turtle is an excellent draw, and it might go far enough to unbreak his hand here. It might even go as far as to get him an OTK combo, or at least a very big combo with DD Crow backup. So, it might pay off very well for him here. Charge of the Light Brigade. Interesting card. This matchup. He's going to mill the Vayu. Very powerful mill. Now you can go Armed Armageddon, or you can just go Sirocco attack. I do not like this attack. I like Armageddon attack. Or maybe not. I don't like this attack. This attack is bad. It's so bad. Bro, what if he just goes Goblin Zombie? Goblin Zombie. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like attacking against zombies when you only have one monster. I know a lot of people, I think Beast Mode has said this as well. If you have 2 monsters you can afford to attack, because you can attack and then they can't go Goblin Zombie, they're forced to get another Battle Recruiter. But if you have one monster, attacking is just bad. You just give them tutors for no reason. Sets the Torrential, passes the turn back. Here comes game. This is lethal, right? This has to be lethal. I refuse to believe this isn't lethal. Okay, let me think this through. Heavy Storm. Normal Diva, Special Diva. He has 3 Divas, right? He has 3 Divas, okay. Normal Diva, Special Diva. Brain Control. 2,028. Stack for Plague is 27. Is that 85, 75? There's got to be a way to find that last 500 points. There's got to be a way, right? 24, 23, and 28. I mean, either way, you just go for it all. Heavy Storm. Yeah. Summon Diva. Special Diva. Synchro into Bionic. Search Mizuki. So you have to set your own card to bounce it with Bionic. Yep. He recognizes that. Now he can go Mizuki, back out, Zombie Master. I don't think it's quite game unless there's something I'm missing. There might be something I'm missing. Hold up. If he goes... Is there a way he can search Zombie Master now? No, there's no way he can search Zombie Master now. Yeah, bring out Goblin, Synchro into Goyo, search Plague, attack Steel. Yeah, he's just saving the brain. Maybe also scared of Gores after last game. No, there's a game shot here, isn't there? There has to be. There has to be a fucking game shot here. What if he synchros the Plague and the Bryonic into Colossal Fighter? What is that, 57, 77? Oh, it's so close. There has to be a game shot here. I'm like, I feel like there has to be a game shot. There's no way there's not a game shot here, right? Huh. I guess there just isn't. I guess you can't kill from 8,000 here. Crazy that you can have all this and not kill from 8,000. That is kind of crazy, but alas, here we are. Anyway, Bryonic's going to attack directly and just represent a lot of pressure. Pass the turn back. Heavy Storm's going to clear the return as expected. Here comes Armageddon Knight, but that DD Crow is going to close this game out. There's no coming back here. He's going to send Sirocco. Oh, he's going to send Plague. Interesting. Stack for Plague. That's going to get DD Crow'd. And yeah, we're going to go next. So full OTK not necessary. Half OTK plus DD Crow. Good enough, more or less. And drawing Double Diva didn't end up punishing Best Yu-Gi-Oh! Player NA because J-Coop made the, I think, grave error of attacking the Pyramid Turtle. Just don't attack there. Just set a Raikou or some shit. I don't fucking know, man. Just don't attack. What are you scared of? Just summon Armageddon. Summon Armageddon. Yeah, summon Armageddon, send Sirocco, make Armed Wing, attack with the Armageddon first. If it's Pyramid Turtle, then okay, you just leave it there. But if it's Goblin Zombie, you clear with Armageddon, then you get 2,300 points of damage. That's pretty fucking good. Alright, opening hand looks incredibly strong from J-Coop. He's got Deck Devastation Virus, which is a blowout card versus this deck, usually. Set Raikou, set D Prism Pass. Alright, makes sense. I probably would have set the Deck Dev instead of the D Prism, but it's all the same to me. Here comes Zombie Master. Attack. That's going to be met with a Dimensional Prison. Draws Heavy Storm. Sets Vayu, passes the turn. Skill Drain off the top. Double Diva plus Mally. Once again, just really awkward hand here. Summon Diva, get the other Diva. Not too terrible at poking at these stupid little monsters, but still not great. And a mill of a Vayu, very lucky mill. Very, very lucky mill. Draw for turn is Grepher, and that's going to be pretty fucking good here. I mean, you can just go Grepher, banish, special Armed Wing, and he's got the full ladder combo. He's got the full Armor Master into Silverwind because he's got all three Vayus in circulation now. The Burial is gone, so once those resources are gone, they are gone for good. But yeah, no, I think he's just got it here. He's going to attack for 23. That is going to proc Gores, which is good, but yeah, I don't know. Prohibition. Another interesting one. You can name Vayu. I think he's going to switch, attack the Dark Grepher. Here comes Mirror Force. Smart play there, playing around the Mirror Force, but it's going to be a little difficult for him to handle this situation. Set. Activate Prohibition, name Caius. End phase Deck Dev to play around Solemn Judgment or Trap Stun. That's going to hit both the Malicious and the Diva in hand. But he still does have that token. So, very interesting game. Heavy Storm is going to be devastating here. Draws for turn is Armageddon. There's Heavy Storm. Chain Compulsory on the Dark Grepher. Probably should have compulsed the set monster. Maybe not, actually. Yeah, no, the token is just dead to the Armor Master here. Yeah, no, this is over. Probably should have named something else with Prohibition. Maybe not, because he had Compulsory for the Armor Master. Dang. Crazy game. Really crazy game. A lot of stuff to think about. Very, very nuts. Yeah, there's really no comeback from this point, right? Because Dark Arm's not live off the top. Is he dead on board? I don't think so. Wait, is he? Hold up. Stack for Plague. No, he's not dead on board. He could have waited a turn to see what he drew. But then his opponent knows about it. Yeah, I think it's over. I think it's about as over as it's going to get. But sick match. Very, very close match. Prohibition. Interesting. Siding Skill Drain in this matchup. Also very interesting. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but Prohibition named Caius when you have Skill Drain set is really stupid. Now that I'm thinking about it. Just name Heavy Storm. Yeah, protect your drain and you can't lose. I guess he's scared of like sack for Caius, run over the token. And you need your token to survive to win. Okay, maybe I get that. Maybe I get that. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to know. There's obviously more Caiuses than there are heavy storms, but you're not just dead to Caius because you have skill drain. And you have compulsory. Whereas you are just dead to heavy storm. So it's higher risk, but there's less copies of it. Prohibition, man. That card's tricky. Anyway, top four. Top four, we've got Coup versus Tia. I believe this is a Value Turbo mirror match, if I'm not mistaken. Tia's on Value Turbo. And Coup is also on Value Turbo. Interesting. I actually hate this mirror match. I think it is one of the least skill-intensive mirror matches in the entire format. It ultimately comes down to just whoever draws better and mills better. And that's it. I don't think that this mirror match has a lot of like pain points or points where it's like you can outplay your opponent. Set Raikou, set D Prison. There's a lot of gambling into sets. There's a lot of player going first, gets initiative, wins the game as a result. Your tech cards very rarely matter. Return Chaos Sorcerer now in like every deck. Those would be like the main tech cards. Royal Oppression is one of those cards where like in some hands it does nothing, in some hands it does everything. Like it's all inconsistencies. The matchup is just like a matter of inconsistencies, and whoever has those inconsistencies lining up poorly ends up losing the mirror. This is by far one of the worst mirrors in the format. Here comes Armageddon Knight, send Value Turbo, and this is a large reason why I don't like playing this deck. It's just because the mirror is like, it's fucking miserable. Anyway, Armageddon Knight attacks, hits the Raikou. Raikou's going to pop the Armageddon, and it's going to mill a Value and a Plague. So already Tia's like off to like an insane start, just like had a good mill. Like there's really not much you can do differently here from Coup. The only thing you can maybe do differently is Plague attack. That's it. Like that's like really the only difference. And that's probably just going to be met with a D Prison, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think D Prison is great in this matchup just because of the prevalence of Raikou and Caius. They can just easily pick off the D Prisons. D Prison really only exists for the aggro matchups like Blackwings, Hero Beat, that sort of stuff. Dragons and zombies. In the mirror match, it's good at picking off Values attacking your Raikous, but outside of that, it's one of the weaker cards for sure. It's not very good against Dark Arm Dragon. It's not very good against Bryonic when they go for the big push. And it's like okay versus the Armed Wing stuff, but if they're playing Return Burial, it's like, you know, they could just draw that. It doesn't really matter. Set 1, pass. Here comes another Raikou off the top. Raikou's going to get set. Necrogarden in hand. A little bit weaker of a hand, but if this Raikou hits a Sirocco, I mean, you're just living. Anyway, another Caius is the draw, and so just hand is kind of bricked. Probably going to see a Plague attack. Yep. Which makes very little sense as to why you would set the D Prison here, but probably just going to let this through, pop the D Prison, or you could just D Prison the Plague and not have to worry about it, but I think you let it through and pop the back row. Decides to D Prison the Plague. Yeah, this is the same outcome too. You can just flip the Raikou on your turn, so yeah, it makes sense. Here comes, no, not going to flip the Raikou. Wow, I would have flipped the Raikou there. Why wait? I guess it can always hit the back row, but maybe you don't want to. I don't know. I just feel like you just hit the back row. Like, get your plus. Attack with the Raikou. What's he going to do? Drop Gores? You can't drop Gores. What if you have Caius? Yeah, I don't know. Interesting wait. Maybe he feels he doesn't have the proper securities in order to pop the back row and attack into Gores. Here comes Dark Grepher, pitch Caius, send Sirocco. Interesting. Why did we do that? Why did we get rid of Caius? I guess the Caiuses are kind of clogged and you just need to get your return live. Okay, that makes sense. Poke the Raikou. Raikou's going to hit the back row. Same shit happened. Didn't mill the Sirocco though, so just didn't get online. Yeah, just a pass. Doesn't need to set the return. Here comes the Dark Arm Dragon. Dark Arm pop the Grepher. Oh no, Brain Control. Okay, this would be an OTK, but there's Gores. But Gores isn't going to be good enough because it's going to get popped by Dark Arm Dragon, so. Yeah. Yeah. Once again, I think this matchup is like incredibly sacky. It's just like whoever draws slightly better or mills slightly better, whoever's mills or draws line up slightly better. I don't think there was really that many decisions to be made this game outside of like that one turn where he could have flipped the Raikou. That was like the one turn where I was like, okay, he could have made a decision there. And it didn't even end up mattering because he just had the nuts anyway. So, yeah. Chaos Sorcerer banishes the token. Banishes Necro Garnet to pop. Here comes Vayu trying to come back into the game. Caius going to target Darkharm Dragon, but like, it's just not enough, you know? You have to defensively return, and you lose because there's a Royal Oppression set. So, like I said, randomly Royal Oppression is insane. It just wins you the game, and randomly it sucks. So, in this game, it's gonna be good. So, yeah, going on to the next one. Once again, winning the rock paper scissors pretty important in this matchup. Basically, all of the things that remove player choice in this matchup are important. There are very few like actual player choices. There's a lot of gambling. There's a lot of variance. This is by far one of my least favorite matchups. Anyway, mirror matches. Here comes Dark Grepher. Sends the Vayu Sirocco, and I think you don't want to summon it because, well, maybe you do summon it. You have Deep Prison for the Sirocco. Alright, maybe just say fuck it. Get it in under the bottomless. Okay. Or not, you know. In this case, why do it? Why not just lead on Raikou? You have Raikou Deep Prison. That's the best opening. I don't see a reason to do this. But what do I know? Anyway, here comes Card Trooper. Card Trooper going to hit Vayu. Card Trooper going to run over Dark Grepher. And just a pass. Draws Sirocco. Sirocco's going to attack Card Trooper. Deal 16. It's going to cause a card draw. Draws into Plague. And a pass. Only one Dark down there, but probably just a set hamster here. Pass. Yep. Draw for turn is Raikou. Probably just attack. Hamster's going to go get Raikou. Pass the turn. After setting the own Raikou. You just got to get these Raikous in play. Gets your Chaos Sorcerer live. And it forces him to have more removal. But obviously he does. Here comes Raikou. Pop Sirocco. Mill 3. Sack for Caius. Banish the Raikou. Attack for 24. And yeah. That's it. That's the matchup. Set Raikou. Set Mirror Force. Summon Plague. Make Stardust. GG. Yeah. That's going to be that. So, not much to say here. I think if you are playing this deck and you want to make the mirror match a little bit more skill testing, you're going to have some tech for the mirror. You're going to have some ways to eliminate those 50-50s, ways to deal with flip summon Raikou, ways to deal with set monsters, ways to mitigate like mills, DD Crow maybe as a way to combat good mills, or Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer as a way to prevent their payoff. Soul Release maybe. Soul Release like probably the worst of the three. Maybe try something like having a small engine that does well attacking into Raikou. Like there are cards in Edison format that swing into set monsters really nicely, and one of the cards that immediately comes to mind is maybe something you can search with Rhoda, like Mystic Swordsman level 2 or Blade Knight or something like that. Do something to eliminate the gambling in the matchup. And if you can eliminate the gambling in the matchup for your opponent, but you also have the gambling high rolls, then you will be giving yourself a significant edge. And as this deck becomes popular due to like its results, I think you want to move more away from like just trying to high roll and more towards like giving yourself a significant competitive edge in the deck building process. All right, moving on to the other top 4 match. Finally, the guy you've been waiting to see, Ryan Knight's Machina deck list. Let's get those 2 deck lists pulled up. We've got the Machina deck list here, and we've got the Frog deck list somewhere. There it is. So it's Machina versus Frog Monarchs, 2 Frog Mirror. Very interesting decks lining up against each other. The El Tannin, going to be good at removing the dupe lock. Sphere of Chaos is a good proactive tribute monster. Regeki Break kind of bad against frogs, arguably. Treeborn Frog going to be good to deal with Lad. And Ryan Knight does have those triple vanities. Now, double vanities is on the side of Yugioh. Yugioh's also got Thestalos, which is a great way to attack the hand. He's also got Junk Synchron, which can make Catastor, which Catastor does a really good job against Machina stuff. So they have a lot of ways of interacting with each other. Let's see how that sort of plays out in this game. Yugioh does win the rock, paper, scissors. On the contrary, I do think the frog-style mirror matches are really skill-intensive. There's not as much gambling as you'd think, and it's a lot about your positional play and how you deal with certain stuff and how much you can get out of the frog engine. How much can you maximize the value you get out of the frog engine? And that comes from like careful planning, careful positional play. And I think this is one of the hardest mirror matches to play in the game. Usually the better player is going to win because these decks are hyper consistent. They do see their engine almost every single game, and their points of interaction are like very, very micro points of interaction in this mirror match. So it's an interesting one to play for sure. I think it's definitely fun. It's unfortunate that Substitute is so expensive. I wish it would get reprinted. So opening hand from Ryanite, he's got engine, he's got Swap Frog. He doesn't have Gear Frame, but he does have Swap Frog. He probably, at this point, both players probably know what each other's playing. Especially because Ryanite has had the option, the luxury of being able to watch Yugioh's top 8 match, because he didn't have a top 8 match to play because Sunny had to leave. So he definitely knows what his opponent is playing. Once again, Yugioh starting off with Set Typhoon, just an egregiously bad play. Just a terrible play. First off, you gotta know that Ryanite's on frogs at this point, right? Like, you gotta know he's on some Machina frog crazy shit, right? And this might just be tournament inexperience, but this also might just be straight up inexperience in general. Setting Typhoon when your opponent doesn't have back row, when you have Gores and Treeborn in hand, is like, bro, you're literally killing 3 cards in your hand if your opponent doesn't set a back row. You're killing your Typhoon, you're killing your Gores, and you're killing your Treeborn frog. I don't know. Anyway, Swap Frog's going to send Treeborn. No reason to attack, just pass. He knows his opponent's on frog, so you're either going to be taking 1,000 from the dupe, or you're going to be putting a Treeborn Frog in the grave, or proccing a Mirror Force, so there's really no reason for you to even attack there. And I think Ryanite makes the correct play there. Treeborn Frog is going to get set, and the turn is going to get passed. Now, Yugioh only does have 2 Dupe Frogs, so sacrificing Dupe Frog to his Substitute that he's freshly drawn is not ideal, because then you won't have the full Dupe block. You'll just have a half Dupe block. Just passes the turn. The draw for turn is Substitute, so he's going to go for his Substitutes now. Swap Frog is going to send. Unifrog is going to hit the grave, and the double Dupe block is going to happen. Now, I actually don't really like the double Dupe block versus Frogs. I do like going Unifrog and just poking, because Unifrog can pop the back row, right? Unifrog can force whatever the fuck this is. But maybe Ryanite's thinking, okay, if that's a Typhoon, I don't have to force it ever. I can just sit on my Dupe Frogs. I don't even need to use my Unifrog. And I can kill his Treeborn Frog this entire game as long as I don't give him an opportunity to use that Typhoon. He'll have to either go minus, Typhoon one of his own cards, or whatever. So here comes Set Substitute. Now this I absolutely don't like. I think you definitely want to get your own Dupe Frogs online and empty out all the Frogs from your deck. What the hell are you setting Substitute for here? Summon Substitute, sack your Treeborn, get all of the Frogs out of your deck so you can start drawing Monarchs. That is absolutely the play. You sets up for your Junk Synchron next turn. It sets up for basically everything. It just gets you your engine. And it gets you so that your deck is more consistent. The draw here was, I forget what it was. I didn't see what it was, but it's something. Here comes Swap Frog. Swap Frog is going to send Substitute, and it is going to attack the initial set, and that's going to be a Dupe Frog. So I don't like this play. Same reasons I didn't like attacking earlier. There's really no reason to attack this. Just wait. If it's a Treeborn Frog, wait till you draw Caius. You know what I mean? Maybe he wants to get his Brain Control live. Who knows? Who fucking knows? Bounces, end phase, discards Fortress. I don't like end phase, discard Fortress. I like end phase, discard Treeborn, probably. I like holding the Fortress. Because you can, it's a way to get Cyber Valley in the graveyard so that you can drop Eltanin. Either that or I don't like bouncing Swap Frog. Just don't bounce the Swap Frog. Just leave it in play. Next turn you can use it with, if you draw a Monarch, you can use it to bounce that Monarch and start resource looping your opponent. Anyway, here comes Caius. That Space Typhoon set is really silly. Dupe Frog's going to be able to add back Swap Frog. Yeah, I think just leaving the Swap Frog in play would have been so much better. Main phase 2, he is finally going to use that Substitute, but he's not going to empty all the Frogs out of his deck. Huge inconsistency not doing that, I think. That's like an additional 9, 8, or let me see how many cards it is. So Treeborn's out of the deck, Duke Frogs are out of the deck. So how many cards are still in the deck that are not great draws for Ungo? 3 Swap Frogs, 2 Substitutes, and a Treeborn Frog and a Unifrog. So that's 7 cards in his deck. He could have emptied all 7 of those cards. That's 7 bad top decks out of 30 cards. Let's see if that punishes him. We'll find out. Anyway, once again, holding that Machina Fortress would have absolutely allowed him to pitch that Cyber Valley and get the Cyber Elton online. Alas, as it stands here, it's kind of awkward. Here comes normal Cyber Valley, Brain Control. Take Duke Frog. Chain Typhoon on the Brain Control. Yeah, once again, forced to do this. But he wouldn't have had to play his Brain Control ever if he had just left the Swap Frog in play. So, yeah. Again, these like little micro plays, you wouldn't think they matter, but they really end up mattering a lot. He takes the Duke Frog, he's able to banish both and draw 2 new cards. And he did spend his normal to do that, but he can still special out the Fortress by pitching Force. Pitching Elton is stupid. Like what? Stupid is a wrong word. That's derogatory. I shouldn't say that. I think it's wrong, right? Like, the reason you pitch Elton is to make further Eltonins live, right? But if you have further Eltonins and your Machina Fortress survives, then maybe it's not stupid. I'm trying to think. So let's say you pitch Force here. You bring out Fortress. You have Eltonin in hand. End phase, you have to discard. You're probably discarding Treeborn end phase. That's the worst card in your hand. So you keep Eltonin in hand. You can gear frame for another Fortress. If you draw a second Eltonin, you can pitch that Eltonin to summon it. So either way, it's better to keep the Eltonin, because Machina Force is straight up all it does is pitch to Fortress, whereas Eltonin can pitch to Fortress and do something else, and you won't struggle to get that Eltonin in the grave if you need to, I guess, is what I'm going for here. Yeah, I think that's it. Either way, I don't know if it's gonna end up mattering, but I think you keep the Elton and you pitch the Force. That makes much more sense to me, at least personally. He's gonna search one of those Swap Frogs, get one of those 7 dead draws out of his deck. But yeah, let's see if it ends up mattering. He draws enemy controllers, so it doesn't really end up mattering. Ryan does have Battle Fader, so this counter push isn't gonna win. And Ungo probably is aware of the fact that Battle Fader is a reality. That being said, this is 4,900. Normal Junk Synchron, special summon out the Swap Frog. Well, I guess he doesn't have a Swap Frog in grave because he didn't go for the frogs. So already it's costing him percentage points here. Basically what you could do is you can normal summon Junk Synchron, special summon Swap Frog, and this is exact game. So he's forced to drop that Battle Fader. Ryan doesn't even have to drop Battle Fader here. He can just be like, okay, whatever. But you want to force the Battle Faders. That's another thing about the Frog Mirror match, is like you want to make them have to use the Battle Faders. Because the sooner you force them, the less they have in the later game when you get into this like counter Monarch war, basically. Yeah, pretty much. As it stands, even normal summon Swap Frog here is better than not normal summon pre-battle phase, because let's say he doesn't have Battle Fader, right? Normal summon Swap Frog is always going to be the play because you're going to bounce the Machina Fortress and put it back in his hand, and then I'm losing my train of thought. You're putting him, I would say below Brain Control range, but Brain Control's already gone. Oh, you're putting him in Caius range. That's what it was. Yeah, you're putting him in Caius, Banish Caius range. So if all of the attacks connect, realistically they're not going to, but if all of the attacks connect, then you put him into Caius, Banish Caius range. So you force Battle Fader by doing this. This doesn't force Battle Fader, basically. It looks like he's going to go for it anyway. I would not have even... I would have considered maybe not using the Battle Fader there, but it looks like he wants to go for it, so makes sense. Double sack for Trigodia. I think this is worse than normal summon Swap Frog, bounce the Fortress, because that at least forces him to discard something. Well, I guess either way it forces him to discard something else, but yeah, I don't know. I think saving the Trigodia in hand is not a bad thing at all. This makes you weak to enemy controller. I don't know if Ryan plays it. Do we know if he plays it? He doesn't, but he could. Just saying, he could. Anyway, here comes Treeborn Frog, sack for Caius. One thing you could have considered too is pitching the Battle Fader to steal his Battle Fader. I don't think that's a good play, but it's worth noting. Caius is going to banish Trigodia, deal 1,000. Here comes pitch, bring out Fortress. Here comes pitch, special Swap Frog. And this is just so much more forcing. Yeah, the Fortress is going to attack, no pun intended, right? Swap Frog is going to attack for 1,000. Caius is going to attack for 24. And there's Gorz, the Emissary of Darkness. So, even though there's a Gorz here, it's only going to trade with the Fortress and the Caius in play. And Ryanite has a Gear Frame for follow-up. So, pretty solid stuff. Let's see what Ungo draws for turn. He draws one of those Swap Frogs that would have been out of his deck. So, a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff could have been different. So, like, let's say he had gone for the Swap Frogs off the Substitoad in the first sequence there. On the previous turn, sorry, I muted, I had to cough. On the previous turn, you could have summoned Junk Synchron, stolen the Machina Fortress, represented lethal. Main phase 2, Swap Frog effect, bounce the Machina Fortress back to hand for cost, Synchro to Bionic, pitch a card, bounce the Caius, pitch the dead frog, bounce the Caius or whatever. I think that would have been the optimal play there. But as it stands, positionally, he's got this Junk Synchron in his hand that at this point in the game is not doing too much. It's like it will make a Catastrophe, it'll clear the Fortress actually. So it's still pretty good, but it's just an awkward situation. It's like you've had to spend your resources and not force your opponent to spend their resources, if that makes sense. The way that last turn would have worked out would have been a little bit better. He would have been able to save his what was it? He spent something. I forget what it was. Save his Caius. That's what it was. Anyway, here comes Swap Frog Send, attack, kill the Fortress, attack the Battle Fader, attack for 1,400, and attack directly for 2,700. Also a slight error here. You want to attack over the monsters with your strongest monster, so you give him the weakest possible Gorz token. But yeah, that's just like an experience thing. If you're not used to playing against Gorz, then that's like attack with the Gorz over Swap Frog, attack directly with the token is just strictly better, generally speaking. Yeah, it's actually just strictly better. He ended up not bouncing with the Swap Frog. Should have bounced with the Swap Frog to not have it in attack position. That's just risky. Now I believe enemy controller kills you because they switch the Treeborn to attack, and then the game ends. But that being said, he's not playing enemy controller. He draws Regeki Break, and I think this turn... Is there a game shot this turn? What is it? 17 plus 500, that's 22. Puts him to 13, so not quite a game shot. But he's going to be able to bring back that, summon the Caius that he bounced. Being able to bounce Caius in this matchup is so huge because Caius is like the best card in this matchup, basically. You want to reuse your Caiuses as much as possible, get as much out of them as possible. So that's going to deal 1,000. Attack, attack, attack. This is going to be 17, 500. Poor attack order there. Yeah, maybe a misclick. Probably just a misclick. Yeah, misclick. Yeah. He's going to attack over the token, and he's going to attack over the Catastrophe for 300. And drop Ungo to 300, but now Ungo has nothing, and Regeki Break can answer the first play. Enemy controller can take the Gorz, bring back Treeborn, try to clear the Caius. Probably just let that happen. It's not a big deal. On your turn, you attack, and then Regeki Break the Treeborn Frog, and on replay you can't drop Battle Fader, and I'm sure there's gonna be a what is it judge call on this, but yeah, you can't drop Battle Fader on a replayed attack because it's after the declaration, basically, I think is the ruling. So he attacks the Treeborn in battle step, uses Regeki Break, hits the Treeborn, then connects directly with Gorz, and is able to secure the first game. So I think a lot of micro advantages from Ryanite added up there. Obviously, having the Machina cards definitely makes you favored in the mirror match because they're so fucking good in the mirror match. But looking at sideboards, Ungo does have double Cyber Dragon. He does have Vanity's Fiend, so we'll see if those end up coming in. And then he also does have Spiritual Water Art. Let's see if that plays a key role in Game 2. But yes, it is past the attack declaration, past the window to Fader, yes. I think Ryanite explains it well there. Better than I did, more or less. Opening hand for Ungo is tough. He has no engine. Opening hand for Ryanite is amazing, except he does have double dupe. So that's a little bit unlucky, but even if he does find Substitoad, he can set up double swap, bounce both, and then normal summon double dupe, so it's probably fine. Draw go, kind of an unlucky circumstance. Leaving in Heavy Storm is pretty silly. Frogs usually have very little back row, and you have a very easy time playing through that back row. Swap Frog's going to get summoned. That's going to send Treeborn Frog. You should attack with that Swap Frog, I think. Oh, maybe not. You know about Trag? I was thinking if you don't know about Trag, then you attack with the Swap Frog because it's only Gores. But because you know about Trag, and Trag's annoying for your hand, yeah, I think you don't attack. Treeborn Frog going to be the first piece of engine for Ungo, so a great draw for him. Draw for turn is Cyber Dragon. Here comes Gear Frame. Cyber Dragon is really good because it answers a 2000 Chimera attack. It's also a light machine that you can pitch to Fortress to get your L10 in online. Here comes the Pitch Special Fortress. Attacks the Treeborn, attacks directly for 1800. And no Gores, no Trag being dropped here is like a pretty clear sign that, what is it a clear sign of? There's a clear sign they don't have it. Because I feel like if you have Trag or you have Gores, you're dropping it here. Either that or they do have it and they have Cyber Dragon. And they're like, they just want to use the Cyber Dragon. Anyway, the equip is smart because it plays around Cyber Dragon. Yes, it does shut off your Treeborn Frog, but it makes the Cyber Dragon worse, which is the card you're going to end up losing to here is Cyber Dragon. So you do want to equip. And then also, if he's able to steal the fortress and sacrifice it anyway, then Treeborn will come back online. And if he's not able to clear the fortress anyway, then you're still probably winning because of how good Fortress is. Treeborn Frog comes back. Here comes Soul Exchange. And yeah, that's going to add up to a big froggy turn because Substitute was the draw. So attacks here are going to happen. This is an illegal attack. Soul Exchange resolved this turn. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activated this effect. Easy to forget sometimes, but once again, yeah, you can't attack here. So nobody's going to catch that. Not even the judges who are watching. Is anyone going to say anything? There are 9 people watching this match, and none of these people are going to say anything. All right. All right. Raunuk, the Frog Master, not saying anything about that Soul Exchange. Chet. Okay. Sure. 2100 points of damage. That shouldn't have been dealt. Here comes Pitch Special Swap. Send Treeborn. Normal Summon Junk Synchron. Bring out 2 Frogs. Synchron to Black Rose. Black Rose Nuke. This is going to get Ungo a big plus. And it's also going to leave Rhyanide with only 3 cards. That being said, Rhyanide does have Vanity's Fiend. However, Ungo's hand is so fucking incredibly stacked. It's like Vanity's Fiend who? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Urbellum attack, doesn't make a lot of sense because he has Yu-Gi-Oh players. Attacks for 22. Let's say he declares it right. 4 more cards. It says it on the card. Read the card. Oh my gosh. Messy top 8. Messy. Ungo says he forgore. The draw is another Duprog. Oh no, he already had the Duprog. The draw is Substitute, right? Really unlucky draws, man. Here comes Treeborn. Sack for Vanities. Vanities attack over Urbellum. Once again, it's least impactful Vanities of all time simply because there's just so many outs to it here. Just set 2 pass. There's really no reason to set this deck dev here. That's just... Why are you setting the deck dev here? You're just shutting off your Treeborn Frog. Bruh. Why are you setting it? Just set the Mirror Force. I guess you're playing around Space Typhoon? But who in their right mind is leaving in Space Typhoon versus Frogs? You know what I mean? And even if they do have it, they're not going to blind it. And also, why are you not Mirror Forcing the... What? What is the point of setting the Mirror Force if you're not going to use it on the Vanity's Fiend? Huh? I guess maybe he wants to try and top deck a Monarch. Alright. Well, he got there. That's all I can say. Brain Control, Deck Devastation, Chainlink 1. Man. That was so card intensive just to clear the Vanities. Chain Regeki Break, Pitch Substitute, target the other back row. Yeah. I see why he wanted to wait now. But at this point in the game, the Frogs are... I guess he doesn't have all the Frogs out of his deck, so it could just hit random top decks. I don't know. Deck Dev is Chainlink 1, so this Dupe Frog is going to activate. And it's going to get to add. Swap Frog. So he reveals the Cyber Dragon. And then, yeah, he can normal Swap Frog and attack. He's got enemy controller to maybe find lethal. Man, that Heavy Storm is silly. Says brain control. How you did it? Okay, brain control the fiend. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, 1,000 attacks. He sets enemy controller. What? What? Why are you setting your game shot? I guess you're at 28. Okay, hold up. If he top decks his own enemy controller, this whole game, Ungo's had to play around enemy controller, and Rhino just doesn't play that card. But yeah, I guess you have to set enemy controller to play around Ryanite's enemy controller. That makes sense. Okay, there's Caius is the reveal. Here comes Special Cyber Dragon, Normal Summon Swap Frog. Activate effect to send Substitute. Attack for 11. Enemy controller to defense. Crash Swap Frogs. Pass the turn. Here comes Caius. Oh, the game's over. Wow. Yeah, that Caius is lethal. Does he have another Substitute in deck? No. He has to 1-for-1 pitch his Caius into Battle Fader to survive. So he sacks for Caius, targets Cyber Dragon, attacks for 24. 1-for-1 into Battle Fader. Is Battle Fader a machine? It's a fiend, right? I guess we'll find out in the later game. I think it's a fiend. I'm pretty sure it's a fiend. If it was a machine, that would have been fucking crazy, right? Bro, you're dead to the card that is in his hand. You know this card. You saw it off of Deck Dev. What is he going to do? Not go for game? 1-for-1 pitch Kaya special Battle Fader. You have to do that to survive. Oh my gosh. It says I shouldn't have used controller. Maybe not. But if you don't, you're taking a shitload of damage, right? You would have taken 2,100 damage. So he would have been dead to the Caius burn, I think, right? Crazy match. Well, Rhino's going to move on to the finals with Machina Frog. And he's going to face off against... Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's here somewhere. There it is. He's going to face off against Moom, a.k.a. Tia, with Value Turbo. So Machina Frog versus Value Turbo. Crazy shit, man. Good luck, have fun. Maybe don't mill triple Raikou this time. That probably happened off a charge. Alright, Swap Frog gets summoned, sends Treeborn Frog, bounce Swap Frog, and pass. So a lot of this matchup is going to come down to Machina Fortress. This is the key card. Spirit Reaper, intriguing. I do like it here. I wonder if Tia's going to go for that Spirit Reaper poke. Yep. Fuck it, we ball. Alright, Spirit Reaper has a 50-50 of hitting a real card here. And it connects. It hits Caius. Wow, really lucky rip. So... off rip, Tia's got a very lucky 50-50 hit. Set, pass. Draw for turn is Regeki Break. Swap Frog can't come out here. Substo can't come out and activate. And this is going to be able to get Ryanite, dupe Uni, I believe, is going to be the main setup. Swap Frog send. Swap Frog send. You want to bounce this swap. Right? No. What are you doing? You have to bounce the swap, normal Uni. And then go into dupe. And then you have Uni dupe. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, you can't sack the second swap there because you don't have a way to get the third swap into play. I guess you're just hoping that this isn't a Typhoon. Or this is a Deep Prison. I don't know. Anyway, Trenchal's insane draw. It's like best card you could possibly draw. FA's Regeki Break going to hit the new set. That's Deep Prison. Very interesting calculation there. I'd be curious to think why he Regeki Break the second set there and not the first one. But he's going to draw for turn. He's going to draw Space Typhoon. Going to just hold the Space Typhoon and try to go for the Unifrog pop. I kind of like this. Yeah, just blow up the back row. Make sure you can resolve Fortress. Make sure you can pitch Machina Force to stick your Machina Fortress while there's no back row. Summon the Fortress. There's no reason not to. What is he going to do? What is he going to do into Summon Fortress here? It is so much better to summon the Fortress now. Infinitely better. Flip Raikou, target Unifrog. Mills 3. Hits Sirocco. Good mill. 3 Darks being milled. Very strong. Set. Bottomless. Pass. Typhoon is going to get used. Fortress is going to get reanimated. No? Cyber Valley is going to get activated first. Draws into Regeki Break and Battle Fader. Battle Fader is a fiend. Okay, yeah. So I'm not just tripping. Alright. Pitch Force brings out Fortress. Fortress attacks Raikou. Deals 2,300. Set. Regeki Break and pass. Here comes Armageddonite. That can send Necrogardener. Set Torrential and pass. Now you definitely want to Regeki Break this back row. You don't want to play into Torrential. Torrential hasn't been used thus far. And Torrential is just devastating. It's very bad for you here. So I guess he's going to go Sork, banish the Machina Fortress. That makes sense. Get the Vayu in the grave. Sorcerer really putting the deck on its back. I think this card has seemed incredible in every single game we've seen it drawn in top 8. Definitely, I think, a great inclusion for Vayu Turbo. Very, very strong. Passes a turn. There's another Regeki Break. Treeborn cannot come back here. There is a card set in your spell and trap zone. Nice. A lot of fucking people not paying attention to shit. Anyway, here comes Regeki Break. Target the back row. Treeborn's coming back. Normal summon Swap Frog. Bounce the Treeborn to buy yourself a free discard. And there's that free discard. Regeki Break is going to hit that Chaos Sorcerer. Burial can get you places, but not quite yet. You need Plague. Just switch pass. Draws 1 for 1. Just passes. Why not bring back Treeborn again and bounce it again? I guess all 3 Regeki Breaks are gone. Okay. I would have brought it back. If your draw is 1 for 1, I would have brought it back again and then bounced it. But I guess 1 for 1 doesn't bring out anything but Battle Fader. Still, though, I mean, you could bring out Battle Fader here. It's not like Battle Fader is doing anything when you have Double Dupe in play and Torrential is gone. Alas. Anyway, here comes Solemn Judgment. Draws Machina Gear Frame. That's broken. So that's going to search for Machina Fortress. You're going to bounce the Gear Frame. Main phase 2. And pass the turn back. Here comes Caius. Finally, you can start making some headway on this board. Sacrifice for Caius. Target dupe. Burial back your monsters. Activate Vayu. Banish. Special summon Armor Master. Attack over the dupe. Dupe's going to add back Uni. Attack over the Swap Frog. That's going to deal 1,500 points of damage. And attack directly with Reaper. Let's see. Does it hit again? Does he reap again? He does not hit. Hitting Unifrog is probably the worst, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. Solemn Judgment's going to go crazy here, though. I think that's going to be the game. Treeborn comes back. Summon Gear Frame. Solemn Judgment is going to stop that from happening. And now Ryanide is dead on board. No, he's not dead on board. He's not quite dead. He can 1 for 1 into Battle Fader to survive through any normal. He doesn't, so Armor Master's going to attack, play around Gores a little bit, get the Reaper poke. Reaper connecting 3 times in one game is crazy. Very MVP Reaper here. That's going to go ahead and hit the 1 for 1. The worst card in the hand for sure, but still would have been a card to give an additional play. 2,400 is going to connect. Set Deep Prison. Caius off the top. That's a life-saving Caius. Treeborn's going to come back. Caius is going to come down. It's going to banish the Armor Master, deal 1,000. Attack the Spirit Reaper. Oh, that is game. Don't get me wrong. That is game, but man. That Deep Prison. That damn Deep Prison. And there comes Hamster off the top for lethal. One of the few monsters I think that was summonable for game here. That being said, he could have just used his Necrogardener to negate that Caius attack. So, maybe not necessary. It says, I missed every single Reaper hit except that 1 out of 6 Caius. Yeah, I guess it did miss. Tia says, I was so stressed. That looks like it was a stressful game, but the Solemn Judgment on the gear frame, I think, was the biggest stressful moment for Tia. Because if you Solemn that and then he has another machine and he summons gear frame or Fortress, it's like, oh. You know what I mean? It's like very bad for you. Anyway, opening hands, we got Vanity's Fiend from Ryan. He's also got D Prison. Once again, like, I'm not sure about this. You're just giving the Raikou targets. Anyway. He draws, he sets Treeborn Frog, sets Raikou, passes the turn back. Opening hand is pretty bricks for Tia. But does have a pretty strong comeback play of Sirocco Gale. So that's a pretty strong comeback play. Passes a turn back. Vanities would have been crazy if this was a Vayu, or a hamster. But I do like the discipline of going for the Caius. That being said, it might punish him a little bit. Set Dust Tornado pass. Maybe not. No, it is going to punish him. Setting Dust Tornado without a target. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like setting Dust Tornado without a target. If there was a card worth setting, it would have been set last turn. And now you're just cut off from using Treeborn Frog. You do have Machina access, so your normal summon next turn can be Gear Frame. But I don't like setting Dust Tornado here. I just don't. I just think it's wrong. Here comes Sirocco Gale. Have the Caius Synchro into Thought Ruler. And gain those life points back. All of them back. Back up to 8,000. Making that D Prison look a little silly. Thought Ruler Archfiend, just OP as fuck versus Frogs. Fortress is an insane draw. That means you can actually play the game now. So here comes Gear Frame. Search Fortress. Fortress, Pitch Fortress, Special Fortress. Crash into Thought Ruler. I mean, Tia's going to gain 1,000,000 life points here. This is going to be so hard to grind out of. But, you know, he's got to start somewhere. Deals 1,800 direct. And sets the D Prison and passes. Yeah, alright. Here comes Grepher, Pitch Necro, send Vayu. Vayu activates. Summons Armedwing, attacks. Here's that D Prison. Sets Torrential, and that's going to get hit with Dust Tornado. And now I think Ryan Knight is like really crushing. Because he's going to go bring back Treeborn. Sack for Vanities. And I think this game is going to end. Yeah. This is going to be very hard to come back from. I just don't see it happening. Vayu, got to set it. Attacks with the Vanities. Attacks for 1,800 with the Gear Frame. Set Treeborn. Oh, Ryan Knight should have set his Treeborn. That's a misplay. If he draws a Monarch, he's going to be happy that he set the Treeborn. Set Dyna, set Mirror Force. So clutch Mirror Force. But Ryan Knight does have that Space Typhoon, so he's going to be able to Space Typhoon it. He's going to be able to attack with the Vanities. Attack directly for 1,800. And he says Priority in Draw Phase, which is really smart. Plays around Dust Shoot. So I really like that play from Ryan Knight. He does elect to set the Treeborn here. Armageddon Knight can send, but you're dead on board, so you might as well just... I guess you're not dead on board because you have Necrogarna, right? That was this game? Yeah, it does, so... You can set Armageddon Knight, maybe try to survive another turn, but with Mirror Force gone, it's going to be impossible to come back from this. And a second Vanity's Fiend should close things up. Attack, Necrogarna, attack. Pass, set Raikou, draw for turn. Attack with the Vanities. I don't know why he hasn't summoned the second Vanities. It's like guaranteed lethal. Main phase 2. Sack for Vanities. Yeah, that was guaranteed game. He missed it, but there's no plays, so we're going to game 3. Okay, so Vanity's Fiend showing its prowess in that matchup. Once you've been able to clear the Raikous, once you've been able to clear the Mirror Force, clear the D Prisons, Vanity's Fiend really does just 1v1 the entire Vayu Turbo deck. As long as you can deal with Raikou, D Prison, Mirror Force, and Stick of Vanities, should be good to go. I think that's part of the reason, or part of the, not reason, part of the issue. Yeah, part of the issue with cutting Book of Moon and going more towards special summon heavy cards like Return and Chaos Sorcerer and making a higher ceiling deck is, it just makes it slightly weaker to Vanities. Double Hamster is also weaker to Vanities. Yeah, he does have that Lightning Vortex in the sideboard. He could bring that in to help deal with Vanities and Machina Fortress. Let's see if that happens in game 3. But yeah, not as long as you're able to deal with those spot removals, then it's very difficult to deal with Vanity's Fiend. Opening hand is okay. You do have Dyna, which is a great sideboard card, and Soul Release. They both kind of accomplish the same thing. Neither of these cards are good into Gear Frame, but Nimble Mega and Spirit Reaper are pretty good against Gear Frame. So, pretty solid hand. You have a way to deal with most of what the Frog deck is doing. I wonder if Cyber Dragon is going to get specialed here. Special Cyber Dragon, normal Subsea Toad, dupe lock. Is that the play? Or is it Special Cyber Dragon, normal Swap Frog, attack to play around Hamster, or to play around Dinah? But Dinah wouldn't be set turn 1 unless... No, Dinah just wouldn't be set turn 1 at all. Special Cyber Dragon, normal Subsea Toad to activate is interesting. Normal Swap also interesting. I think normal Swap attack plays around Raikou specifically better. But I think Special Cyber Dragon, normal Subsea Toad gives you the best chances to win the game. So let's see what he does. He's just going to go swap normal, send attack. Yeah. I think this play is defensible just because there are more Raikous than anything else in the deck. But that being said, if you factor in 2 Hamsters, 3 Vayus, Plague, Spirit Reaper, Dinah... Yeah. Anyway, gets Raikou, passes. Soul Release or Dinah going to be pretty crushing here. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty crushing. He could have gone Cyber Dragon Subsea Toad, and I think that would have been... Well, he would have gotten destroyed by Soul Release. It would have been, at the very least, it would have been more competitive of a game. As it stands, he risks drawing even more frogs into this sort of setup. He has to deal with that Raikou somehow. L10 is not great. Swap Frog basically has to attack the Raikou now. Yep. It's going to pop the Swap Frog, mill 3. Hits a Sirocco. It doesn't really matter. Setting Dust Tornado is interesting. It bluffs Mirror Force. So it makes Tia play a little bit more defensively than they normally would have had to. Here comes Summon Reaper. Yep, switch the Dinah. You wouldn't have to do that. Ryan hitting that Think button to bluff Mirror Force. I actually think it's really smart from him. That's really smart. Letting the Reaper connect. I mean, doesn't really have a choice. It's going to hit Subsea Toad. Last turn, he had the option to set the Subsea Toad, but the Raikou would have popped it. It's very unfortunate that he hit the 1 out of 5 here. The other 4 cards don't do anything, whereas Subsea Toad would have been set, and it would have been able to wall these at least for an entire turn. He does have Gale to deal with it, but it would have been at least able to wall it for an entire turn. Main phase 2, he Soul Releases both Treeborns and the Subsea Toad. He sets the Deep Prison. And yeah, just set the Dupe Frog and pass. Draw for turns Armageddon. Armageddon's going to send Vayu. Armageddon's going to attack, deal 600 to itself. Tia's going to deal 600 to themselves by swinging into the Dupe Frog. Main phase 2 switches both monsters and passes. So now, Ryanite has a lot to consider here, but I think the clear play, and at least to me, feels like the clear play, is normal summon Machina Gear Frame. Or no, sorry, Dust Tornado first. Normal summon Machina Gear Frame. Search your guy, and then run over either Armageddon Knight or Fossil Dinah, probably the Armageddon Knight. I think you definitely want to kill the Armageddon Knight first. Keep him locked under his own Dinah while you still can. So I think it's Dust Tornado, Summon Gear Frame, Search, Grab Fortress, attack Armageddon Knight. Yeah, I don't like this play. You just unlock his graveyard. You unlock his power plays that he's been sandbagging. That means Plague. That means Dark Armed. That means... Yeah, I just think that you summon Gear Frame. You attack over... It means Gale 2. I think you just attack over the Armageddon Knight. Start taking your card advantage while you can, you know. Next turn you can clear the Dinah if you have to. The Dinah's actually doing more work for you than it's not. By locking out his special summons. Pitches Cyber Dragon to special Machina Fortress, and it's going to equip the Gear Frame. But yeah, now you also open up the fact that he can just tribute set Cyber Dragon himself, and he can contact into Chimera Tech on you. So I think that that's another reason why you would want to have the Gear Frame attack the Armageddon Knight first. You really do more here. You do have DD Crow to deal with that Vayu, so that is going to stop at least specifically that. But I think the big play here is... Oh, that's a mistake from Tia. Yeah, I think that's a mistake. I think you Black Rose, right? Yeah, you should Black Rose into Armed Wing. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. Maybe there's a game shot here with Bryonic. Why did he not crow the value? Am I missing something? Yeah, why did you not use your crow? Either way, it's going to be game with Bryonic. Huh. Yeah, that's just game. Should have crowed the value. I don't know why you... What are you waiting for? Plague, maybe? I guess you're holding it for Plague, because if he has Armageddon Knights and Plague, then he can make Bryonic. But that takes his whole hand. And then he only has one bounce. Damn, crazy game. Yeah, I think it was a super punt attacking the Dyna there. You want to attack the Dyna once you've cleared the other cards. And it's not like if you look at his hand, like, what is Dyna locking out? Okay, it's locking out Fortress and Eltonin. Those are good cards, don't get me wrong. But it's locking out your opponent's shit just the same. It's like a two-sided floodgate, so... Yeah, but that's going to be the match. And Tia's going to take it. Off the back of I think, a misplay. A pretty crucial misplay there. Huge soul release. Soul release was great, but... the soul release, if anything, should have reinforced the decision to not attack the Dyna yet. You're in no hurry to clear that Dyna. It benefits you to play the longer game, where you draw more resources, and then you out the Dyna at your own free will. Whereas in the shorter game, your opponent has chances to ODK you. So you want to prevent them from ODKing you, and then you want to go for... get your card advantage in the meantime. Sort of grind back to a position where you're okay. I don't think that position was nearly stable enough to attack that Dyna. Very interesting top 8. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff to discuss. Really unique stuff. Congratulations to all the players. Congratulations to Tia on an amazing victory with Vayu Turbo. Played pretty well. I'm not going to lie. I think Tia did a great job in all of the matches. Couple plays here and there, little errors, but one nice thing about Vayu Turbo is the game plan is fairly linear, so it's pretty hard to kind of mess up when you have opportunities like this to go for game with like Bryonic or whatnot. So good shit. Congrats to Tia, and congrats to all the players for earning their invite. And again, big thank you to you guys for supporting the RBET series, the RBET 2024 season. I'm going to be announcing more about those tournaments in the coming weeks. So I'm just still finalizing some stuff with some venues, and it's just taking time. It's just taking time. There's not much I can do about it. The stuff that's taking the time is out of my hands. I think ideally by January 15th, I will have a full RBET 2024 schedule for you guys. And realistically, by January 31st, push comes to shove, I will have the entire RBET schedule by January 31st for you guys. So stay tuned. A lot of stuff coming. Possibly even before January 15th, we'll see. But ideally by January 15th, and if not at the very latest by January 31st, I will have the RBET schedule ready for you guys. So thank you guys a bunch, and I'll see you guys in the next vid. Peace.